Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Asuni Sia. Asuni, take it away from me.
Mr. Johnny Jazz, thank you. And folks in cyberspace, we also want to say thank you for joining us here at Focus on Liberia. The day is Saturday, and we are here with an evening conversation on the high protocol stories that everybody talking about. Again, my name is Anthony C. I am here, and this is what we do. Today, we have some outstanding guests for you to have this serious and analytical conversation on the high protocol stories. We want to now introduce to you our guests who we have brought in to provide context and some explanation on these stories as we know them to be unfolding and everybody talking about them. So this is the best place to be at this hour of the day. So as you have joined us, we will now ask you to hit that share button so that your friends, those in your contact can also be part of this conversation. And I don't want you to stay there waiting while other people are waiting for you. Share it and then be part of the conversation. All right, for our guests this evening, we have with us the man Leo Johnson. Mr. Johnson, at this time, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me on this evening, Anthony.
All right, Leo Johnson, Dad.
You want me to go ahead and introduce myself? I can do that. Yep.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Leo Johnson. I live in Canada. I am the president of the Liberian Association of Canada. I'm also the executive director of a local Canadian non-for-profit called Empowerment Squared, and a United Nations fellow for the Decade of People of African Descent.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And also we have with us Roselyn Velin. She's based in Switzerland, and she has joined us also from Switzerland this evening to participate in this conversation. Roselyn, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Good morning from my end. Thank you, Anthony and Dennis Jar. As you can hear my voice, I just woke up from sleep.
You can tell.
So I'm trying to stay awake, but yeah, thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Roselyn. And I will now call on Mr. Dennis Jazz to introduce our third panelist. Mr. Jazz. Mr. Jazz, you are on mute.
Mr. Yeah. Mr. Letvie Thompson.
Yes.
Letvie, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Please tell our people a little about yourself.
Oh, hi, I'm Letvie Thompson, and I'm an advocate and a human rights activist, and also I'm a nurse and a Liberian also. So I'm happy to be here today, sharing the stage with Mr. Leo Johnson, who I've never met, and I guess Ms. Roselyn Brunley, who I never met neither. But I'm happy to be here to at least join them and say what we have on our minds for our lovely country, Liberia. And I'm based in California, so this is great.
That is excitingly great, and we are happy to have you here to go into the conversation. And so, folks, those of you who are wondering where I may be, I am in our Minneapolis studio, and Mr. Dennis Jazz is at our headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is the headquarters of Focus on Liberia. So for our conversation, we don't want to waste your time. We will go into it. We have few protocol stories, hard ones too, that we want to talk about. The first being about the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Mana Joel Howard Taylor. Recently, Joel Howard Taylor penned a letter in which she complained that she's been disrespected, ignored, and that even her benefits have not been paid to her. And she says she has been trying to contain this for some time now, but it has reached a crisis proportion that she has to speak out. And so she came out, had an interview with Front Page Africa. We have the stories in our possession. The story said that she said for about 2 years now, according to her, she has not been given her benefits. The Ministry of Finance reacting to that news said that is not true. But the Vice President said the Deputy Speaker was able to receive around 150,000 United States dollars in December, when she is yet to receive a dime, in her own words, for the past 2 years. So that is a very serious story. And to the extent that she has decided that she will boycott the State of the Nation address that the president should be giving maybe next week. And so that is the story we have for you. And then to discuss this story, like we had our panelists introduced, they will be reacting to that story. So at this time, we'll bring in Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, you just listened to the story there, the Vice President there explaining her ordeal. What do you make of the story, your reaction?
First of all, my immediate reaction is that this is a sad day for Liberia. It's a very sad day. And I think people get caught up in the politics of the day as to who you support and quickly lose sight of the fact that this is a sad day for our country, neither the Vice President nor the President, but for our country. Because I'll tell you this, if you've never been afraid, you should be afraid now, because it's clear that the two top leaders of our nation, clearly, there is something broken, there is something wrong. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have the facts in my hand. I mean, the Vice President is saying what she's saying, the Minister of Finance is saying what they're saying. I'm pretty sure at some point the actual facts will come out, but the very fact that something had to happen that the Vice President will come up publicly to say this, and this hasn't been a secret. It has been underneath the current for a long time. People have said different things in different quarters, but for the Vice President herself to say this is, I mean, desecration of the highest offices of our country that we can get to this point. So I hope my immediate reaction to people is that let's put it aside as to who you support or not, and let's face the fact on hand that if our country is dysfunctional when the president and the vice president clearly are not on the same page, and the vice president is making these kind of allegations and complaints, if I was the president, immediately he should be leading an investigation. His office should be the one directly leading an investigation into this matter to quickly resolve it, and it shouldn't go any further.
Thank you, Leo. And Letvie?
I did not listen to the vice president's interview on Focus on Front Page Africa. I did read the letter. It is of all disturbing to see that, you know, she's not being paid, and that it's always been a little misunderstanding going on and tension between the two leaders that's kind of leading Liberia. And well, she has been blatantly disrespected in this last 2 years of this administration, and that is seen. So there's a lot of things that's behind the scenes that we may not understand and we may not know what's going on. But I don't think that somebody will come up and lie and say they did not receive their benefits and their stipend and their salary. I don't think it's something that they will come about and lie about. So, but like my thing is, I always say a man who is an alcoholic will never say he's an alcoholic until he's ready to accept the fact that he wants treatment. So the foreign minister will not come and say the truth that the vice president is not getting her her benefits and her stipends and her salary, because of course it's not going to look good on the part of the government. It's not going to look good that the whole vice president is not receiving her pay or his pay, whoever it is. So it's not going to look good. So this is something that they have to cover up. And I understood that she said that she will not go to the State of the State address on Monday because of this. And the foreign minister, the finance minister got to her and said that he will pay her. But this is something that we cannot continue to do in Liberia. You know, if the person is going to protest, whether she stay home, staying home is a form of protest, like she did with the opening of the Senate. Even though it was ceremonial, but still, it's a form of protest that they will go and say, okay, all of a sudden, we'll find the money to pay you. This is a poor way of running a government, and this is something that, and that's what we discuss every day. And I see that you all were on earlier today discussing it. So it's a concern for the country. It's a concern for the nation. Is it sustainable? Can we continue with these? And this is my question. Can the country continue to do this to their employees and expect the country to have a better, a good running government?
Thank you. And Roselyn.
Yes, sir.
The vice president is protesting, writing letters for her pay. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, what the other guy that spoke here is he's talking about her and that it was a sad day, and Letvie is saying that the foreign minister confirms that what Joel was saying. Did she said something like the foreign minister? I want to clear that first.
She said finance. She meant to say finance minister. She corrected herself.
Finance minister.
Okay, because I heard foreign minister. That's what I was concerned. Okay. Well, for the vice president to be coming out and speaking about her not getting her benefits, I'm finding that difficult to understand. And if the finance minister says that it's not true, and she's saying something else, I found this very difficult and and disturbing to even comment on this, because this has been going on for since 2 years now, with the attitude of the vice president that we cannot understand until she comes out and speak to the front page Africa about what is going on. I never heard that part of her not receiving 150,000. Maybe it's a new clipping that just came out, but the first time she spoke with the front page Africa, it was about her resignation and about 150,000. I haven't really gotten that news. I'm just hearing it today. But if that's the case, I think we should wait and see the responses from those that are responsible to handle the finances or the salaries, and for the vice president. Why should it be her? Why should she be the one not to receive or benefits when all of the legislature, members of the Senate and representatives are receiving their salaries and their benefits? I don't understand why is she not receiving hers. And to say it's a sad day, I don't think we should jump to conclusion to call it a sad day. We have yet to understand what's going on between the president and the vice president. It kind of like appeared to be a little petty, and for even or lawyer to be begging her not to boycott the State of the Union address, I think something very, very strange is happening between the president and the vice president. Only the two of them will know or will tell us what it is. Nobody else can confirm it until the two of them can. The president can confirm her accusation of what she's going through. But is the president is the one that's supposed to pay her or benefits or her salaries? Or is it the finance that's supposed to pay the salaries of all civil servants and the executive and the legislature?
Roselyn, the Ministry of Finance, in responding to the Vice President said that the Ministry of Finance has made payment to all branches of government within the limits of what is possible. The Office of the Vice President has received more than $3 million in both compensations and goods and services since 2018. Fiscal challenges have led to austerity that have affected senior leadership of all branches of government. The ministry is not selective in administering payment, but follow rule-based fiscal rules that aim to contain the deficit and ensure budget credibility. My reading of this is that they're not denying what she's saying. They are telling us that they are constrained. They are putting into play austerity measures. They're not denying, but they may mention that in 2018, I believe that's the budget year, the $3 million that was allotted to her office, she received it. And the $150,000 that you heard about, she was talking about the deputy speaker receiving his allotment in the whopping $150,000 when she's the second person in command, it's yet to receive a dime.
Yeah, that's what I said. I find it very strange. She is the president of the Senate. For her not to receive her stipend or her benefits, and her junior are receiving theirs, there's something that she is not telling us. There is something that she is not telling us. But it shouldn't be that way. She is the head of the Senate, isn't she?
She is the president of the Senate, and she has told her story openly. She wrote a letter. She granted front page an interview. And as we speak, the Senate even constituted a committee to look into that. That committee is even backing her to not boycott it, and no one is denying all that she's saying. But we'll come back to you.
Right.
Can I say something quick? Anthony?
All right. Yeah, go ahead, be quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then we wait. But she cannot boycott her duties.
You think that's not her right to boycott?
No, I don't think so.
That's not her right.
Yeah. Let me bring Leo in the
She's head of the Senate. She needs to work things out behind closed doors before bringing it out to us. Then discuss their issues and solve the problem. She is the president of the Senate. Come on, y'all.
All right. Roselyn, thank you. Letvie, there will come back to you. Leo, Roselyn is saying she does not have the right to boycott if she so feels. What do you say to that?
I think, first of all, we should clarify a few things quickly. I made a statement that it's a sad day, and it's a sad day because if our vice president has to be coming to a public news channel outlet to be putting these things out there, it's a sad day. Because we expect that the two people that should have the closest relationship in our government should be our president. The vice president's primary job is to support the president. That's the primary job of the vice president. So if the vice president has to be coming out in a public news outlet and speaking this, I am deeply concerned that it's a sad day because that means she's not supporting the president or she does not have the ability to. But when it comes to her boycotting the State of the Union address, let me say this to everybody. The vice president clearly indicated that this problem, a letter was written to the Senate a while ago. She referenced that in her actual interview, that a letter had been written to the Senate a while ago outlining her concerns to the Senate as to what was going on. And there was no response, there was no address to that letter, which led her to be frustrated that since the Senate was not addressing her issue to the pro tempore specifically, she said in that interview, that's why she came public, because she felt that it was being ignored. So if the vice president decides to boycott the State of the Union address, I believe personally, she has the right to stage a protest. I will say this to people, especially if she's laid out the reasoning, she has the right to stage a protest. The same way other members of government have in the past, we know that, have decided to not participate in certain functions as a result of things that they felt that were happening that were not right. If she's not being given the voice in the Senate in terms of the investigation of things that are happening, you have to remember the vice president is one of the top female leaders in the country. We would be doing the same thing if this was a male in this position. I'm very particular about how she's being treated as a woman. I'm particular about that because we have a very known attitude in our society, in the echelons of power, that when we deal with issues that have to do with female, it's easier to look down upon it and trounce it. And I'll draw your attention to a specific thing before I give you back the floor. On Power FM, they went on a tirade, literally to the point of ridiculing the vice president's office, simply because of her coming up publicly to actually say this. And up till now, I haven't heard a single Liberian government official condemning people ridiculing our vice president because she actually did this. And then I haven't also heard, if the Ministry of Finance is sure of what they're doing, my question is then, what are the facts? Why didn't you communicate all of this to the vice president's office? If you were taking austerity measures to cut her budget or so, why didn't you do a formal communication to her office? She should be respected. That the Ministry of Finance have to take some austerity measures, and Madam Vice President, as a result, your office is being impacted in these following ways. So we wanted to give you heads up ahead of time. Will we do the same thing if it was the president's office? If austerity measures were affecting the president's budget, will we just go ahead and just make slashes and cuts without giving the president any formal notice of why those decisions were being made? I don't know.
So Letvie, Mr. Johnson mentioned being a woman, and you're a woman, so I'm bringing this to you. The vice president, in her interview with Front Page Africa, even mentioned that sometime they call meeting like 1 a.m. and the guys will attend, but at that time she's in bed and she's not able to attend. Also, during that interview, she stated that many times she thought about resignation. Do you think that would be a good last result? And what you make of this whole man and woman thing when it comes to how the vice president is treated?
Dennis, that's a very good question on that. I will not go to any man meeting at 1 a.m. in the morning if I'm a respectable woman. And first of all, they should not be calling meetings at 1 a.m. in the morning. I mean, we understand there's certain things that, the meeting may go on to 1 a.m. in the morning, but to call a meeting at 1 a.m. in the morning, this looked like a society thing to me. So like her, if I was in her shoe, I will not go into any meeting where is heavily men in this meeting to go into any meeting at 1 a.m. in the morning. I respect her views on that. And that's a respectable woman that will not do that. But when it comes to the salary, and I'm listening to my sister on here, and she's trying to actually downplay and say in not so many words that the vice president is actually not saying the truth. It's just short of saying the lady is lying, that whatever they're doing, I
never said that.
No, I didn't say you said it. I'm saying in your discussion or in your statements or in what you're saying, you kind of like saying it's unbelievable for her, even though she's saying this. But the finance minister is saying, so you more believe the finance minister than you will believe her. And I am not, let me put it out here. I'm not a fan of the vice president, number one. Let me put it out here. But she's a woman. And I will stand on the side of truth and on the side of what's supposed to be. So what they're doing to her, they have disrespected her. The very first time Jewel met we are at the airport and he touched her breast in public. We know her personally. My family knows her personally. So when I put things out there, she sees it too. And I did say it was a blatant disrespect for the president to hold on to the vice president's breast in public, even though she's giving him flowers. And this is where the disrespect started. So he feels that he can do whatever he wants to do to her. I think it's an abuse of power that they are doing. And would I resign? Sometimes you have to go into what's my integrity? and what's my how do I present myself, and how do I see myself in my character and in my integrity. And I will go on to that and say, if I was her, if she did not want power, and this would be the one to really expose the government, I would have resigned. I would have resigned. I don't want the power, because then it would put her in the place of her integrity, and it will show that, you know something, I am not here because of party politics, or even though in the beginning she was like, if you're not CDC, we're not going to do this or that, but then your integrity should step in sometime. And if she has that integrity and that character about her, because they say your character will bring you up before kings, she will be able to say, you know something, I have my character, I have my integrity, I cannot do this because of this government. And there's things in here that I will expose to the public and to the international community. And I think this is what she should do. I don't think that she should stay there and be, disrespected this way and then accept it. I don't think so. But you see, it's like I said, I am not, I'm not a supporter of the vice president, but I will say that the disrespect that this president and his cabinet is showing to her, she should not accept it. Knowing her from the time that I knew, my family know her, because I don't know her personally, but my family know her personally. But knowing that, I will not stand for disrespect.
Thank you. Thank you. And coming back to you, Roselyn, there are many legs to this. I know the Mamba Molu audio thing, you call it locker room talk. Yeah.
On live.
Roselyn wanted to respond quickly.
Okay.
Because I saw from her body language when Letvie was talking. So let her respond before you come in with your question.
Okay, Constance want you guys, first of all, to connect with her. Constance.
Okay.
Okay. So you said you saw my body language on her response on the vice president being disrespected. Yes. I never said that she was lying. First of all, let me clarify that. I never said that she was lying. I was trying to make a sense out of what she's saying, what you guys are saying about her complaints and trying to boycott, and because she didn't get her benefits. I'm not saying that she was lying. And Anthony made a clarification, which I understand. If the Minister of Finance is going to go ahead and do what he's supposed to do to make sure that she get her benefits, we don't know the in total of this summer of the vice president anger towards her partner. And the part we don't know, we do not know, and we will never know. We will never know. This is where I stand. And you asked a question about me being a female and she's being treated this way. Trust me, this vice president is on record for admiring Madame Sirleaf as a woman in politics. And if she can go as far as reaching to this point, I know she got some potential to know how to get about doing her stuff. That's where I'm going to stop on that. And when Letvie mentioned about it being absurd that she cannot attend a meeting 1 o'clock, this is not an ordinary person. She's not like you and myself. She is the vice president of the Republic of Liberia. For crying out loud, she could be the next president for what it is. And you say it's condemning that she cannot attend a 1 o'clock meeting when the president called to order, and you find that to be something or something sinful, that she cannot go to attend a meeting 1 o'clock. What if we're supposed to be attacked? What if the nation is supposed to be attacked? And they have to discuss to put plans together with the joint security. She's supposed to be sleeping in her bed, leave her bed, can't leave her bed to go meeting, attend meeting at 1 o'clock. But when she was striving to get there, she was up 3 o'clock in villages, on roads, in towns to get the message across to our people. And now that she strived to get there, you say that that it's not something for her to go 1 o'clock in the morning for a meeting. She's an only woman, but she signed up for a job that you believe that's supposed to be only for men. No, I don't accept that.
Well, number one, Roselyn, I will cut in on you.
She signed up for it, Letvie. She signed up for the job.
Roselyn, let me cut
There's
in
no
number one.
disrespect here. Let me land.
Let me cut in
Let me
on
land,
what you
please.
say.
Let me land. When you're talking, they told me to be quiet. Let me land.
Okay,
you can say, Letvie, you can say that she's the only woman there going. That's her job. She is running the state. There are two. And she have to be there whenever the president calls for meetings. She have to be there. That's her job. That is her job. This is not a 9 to 5 kind of job. The job is 24/7. That is her job. 24/7. She's on clock. So I don't want you people to babysit this vice president. It almost like when she was married to Charles Taylor, every day we heard stories about she and Charles Taylor having problems. Oh, Charles Taylor is cheating on her. And everybody was, sitting in their various corners and feeling sorry for Joelle, the first lady. It's the same thing that's playing here again. Come on, y'all. She signed up to do a job that worked for 24/7. And it's no big deal when she had to be called 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just sleeping. I slept to be on this show, and I woke up to be on this show because I said I signed up for it, and I have to be here, and I have to be here. No pitiful babysitting for the vice president. The vice president and the president know exactly what's going on. I'm not going to sit down and babysit the vice president here.
Thank you, Roselyn. Fair point right there. Leo, I was just about to say, there are many legs to this thing. Letvie said earlier at some point, the president was seen in a picture, more like in touching the vice president's breast. I don't know whether that is true, but I saw the vice president carrying flour, more like a flower girl, to the president at some point, and she apologized during that time. And this is her again in her interview. She more like tried to apologize again. That, did I do anything wrong? She was just judging herself, and you could see that the woman is so troubled and she's being cowed in this manner. So I'm sitting here wondering, where do we go from here? These are the two leaders that should be uniting the country, and they are divided.
And that is the reason why I'm shocked when Roselyn is saying that, it shouldn't be said, it's a sad day. When you see your two leaders that are supposed to be crafting a unified vision for the country to follow, especially in these difficult times, caught up literally in the bra of one person saying, I'm not getting my pay or I'm not getting my benefits, it scares me. But let me also say, I think it's a mischaracterization of the importance of the discussion when Roselyn says you're babysitting the vice president. I think it's a mischaracterization of the seriousness of the discussion.
It's also mischaracterized. Excuse me 1 second. It's also...
I tried to give you a chance to speak, Roselyn. Can I be protected, please? Thank you. You can come in when I'm actually done. I think it's a mischaracterization of the seriousness of the conversation when we reduce it to babysitting the vice president or not. And I also want to say we shouldn't get carried away by the sad issues about the vice president saying going to meeting 1 in the morning. Because for me, I can assure you, part of the reasons the vice president raised was security concerns. Now, whether you take that to be true or not, that's a different debate. But she clearly says she does not feel safe. She does not feel protected. And she lay out the reasons why. Now, that's all for the jury. I'm not a security expert to sit here and pretend to you like I know what needs to be done to secure a vice president. But if she says she does not feel safe, then I can understand the concerns of not wanting to go to meetings at 1 a.m. in the morning if someone is claiming that they are not safe. But let me draw our attention about where do we go from here? Our president is the father of the nation. He should be extremely concerned that his number one principal deputy that is supposed to be supporting him is complaining and having these issues coming out in the public foray. rather than having it discussed in private meetings. And I think regardless of what investigation the Senate is conducting, President Weah should institute his own investigation from the office of the president, because at the end of the day, the buck stops with the president. And I expect the president to do this swiftly and as quickly as possible so that we can know the facts, so that he, the president, can restore order. We're looking up to him for leadership. And I will say this, we can pretend to say, oh, let's wait until the facts come out. Or we can say, let's urge our leaders to move quickly and do what ought to be done so that this issue does not move any day further than now. So my answer to your question as to where do we go next? Where do we go next? We need President Weah to show some real leadership here and help us understand what is happening and if there is a problem. And if the claims the vice president is making are true or not, bring the facts to bear and take the decision that he should take as a decisive leader will do and quash this matter once and for all. And the vice president has been disrespected publicly many times. There's no secret about it. We've heard recordings, beyond recordings, just on Power FM. I was telling you 2 days ago, 2 days in a row, the vice president has been the subject of public ridicule by sometimes people within government circles that should not be doing so. So President Weah should show some leadership. And if the vice president went wrong, bring the vice president to order. Show some leadership, but we should not allow this to keep lingering. If you think the vice president is in error, investigate, bring out the facts, and decisively deal with the issue, and let our country get on with focusing on the important issues that matter, like education, like health, like paying civil servants on time, like the security of our country.
Thank you. And Letvie, let's conclude because we have 2 more stories to go into. We can't spend all our energy on this one. So where do we go from here? The vice president have all right to say, oh, I'm not getting my pay. And, so where do we go from here?
And let me add to that, Letvie, before you respond, because what happened too is a lot of people in some quarters do not have sympathy for the vice president. That's why even if things are done to her, that are not correct, that they will support. Number one, the CEO has someone who was with Charles Taylor, a warlord, and while she was vice president, she did not put in those things that will protect, current vice presidents. Has someone in there, and after the election, she made the famous statement about it was CDC's time, so she doesn't have much sympathy from some people in the opposition bloc. Mr. George Lobo, one of those opposition people who is very vocal on the social media, came out and was like taunting her. Is that does it have to do with, is it a perception problem? Or do you think that these things are really happening to the vice president, or she just being, people just don't like her because of those things that I listed earlier?
Well, I would say there's a lot of factors, and those are some of the factors. But I was speaking with Dr. Gompo a week ago, and we were speaking on vice presidency in Liberia. And he said he was going to do a write-up on, do we really need a vice president in Liberia? Because all the vice presidents that he have known have been unhappy. So all the vice presidents so far, they either are not respected, they are maltreated, they're sitting in the garage and not moving, they're doing this, they're doing that. But yet and still, it doesn't matter. Once they're vice president, they stay in that position, being disrespected, being disregarded, being maltreated. And yet and still, then at the end, when they come to want to run for office, they bring all this and say, want to distance themselves from the party that they were in because of the treatments and stuff that they have or they had. And now this is what's going on with Jewel. So she has 3 tiers of things going on here. She was the wife of Charles Taylor, and she also saw the runnings of the country from the first lady perspective. She was also the person in the bump county speaking to say that if you're not part of CDC, you're not part of us because it's our time to eat. And now she wants the public to have some form of sympathy or empathy on the fact that of how she's been treated. I'm not going to go into the factors that's playing into her right now. I'm going to say that even if it was a male in this position, how she's been treated is wrong. She's been blatantly disrespected, and if she feels that this disrespect cannot go on, and if she feels that she's in the right position at another time to run for president on her own for Liberia and want to win, I would say resign and keep your character and your integrity intact, and that you will be more respected that way than having some people disrespect you the way they are. And when it comes to the fact that, and I like my brother Leo Johnson when he says, yes, she did speak on her security, and she do not have the security that she feels that will protect her. She is not protected, and because of that protection, I will not go with a hierarchy of men into a meeting at 1 a.m. in the morning, and you did not tell me about this meeting to say whatever the meeting was, whether it's the security of the country or not. And the only problem we'll have security in the country, if we have security issues, would be from the government, because the government has a lot of rebels in the government, in the security sector, whether it's the EPS, SSS, or NSA, or whatsoever else they have. So it's the government that's bringing terror to this country, and it's not an external force that's bringing terror to the country. The government is terrorizing their own citizens. But let's move on from this vice president thing. Like you said, we spent 54 minutes on this vice president, and we should move on to another subject.
Thank you, but we have to do justice to Roselyn to close.
Roselyn should respond. Roselyn should respond.
Roselyn, I want you to close with that. Leo brought something up. I have forgotten about it. The Freedom FN group is a pro-government media institution. I listened to them. They went after her in a very disrespectful manner, and the president is here to say something, neither anybody from the government. So you close on the, I mean, where do we go from here?
When you talk about disrespect in this government, it's the person that has been disrespected from the beginning. Very, very being disrespected. Why no one spoke about when Root FM was insulting the president on a daily basis? Nobody argued about this. I don't remember Madam VP coming out and speak against that. I don't remember. That's her partner. They work together. They work together in this government, and she has never one day stood up to defend and fight also for the president. So when you talk about front page, Freedom FM coming out and speaking against the vice president is a disrespect, then let's bring all to the table. Where does this all started? Freedom FM is only responding because of the overwhelming disrespect that was given to this president. That's when Freedom FM woke up. Freedom FM came out to debunk all of the stories, because the opposition don't see the development that's going on in the country. They only see or look for negativity on a daily basis. Every day, Root FM is talking about what the government is not doing right. And the opposition never saw the development of this government that's going on. Not even the vice president have stood out to confirm to us about the development of this government. Only she talk about all day is about herself, not being paid attention to. And I want to talk about the part where Letvie talk about the vice president being disrespected and that the president touched her breast in public. Come on. This is just one of the reasons why I don't like to discuss this vice president story, because it's almost like we are only here to hear her complaints and not for her to come to take responsibility as vice president and speak about the development that's going on in this government. Everything has to do with the president. If the president doesn't show to the public that this is what's going on, we will never hear from the vice president. All day the vice president is feeling sorry for herself. When the vice president was first lady, she was feeling sorry for herself. So like Letty rightly said, if it was her that the vice president should resign, I think it would be the best thing for this vice president to do. So nothing is working in her area.
All right.
Because if we continue like this, she's gonna plunge this nation gonna be plunged into a mess.
Thank you.
And this vice president never debunk or never go after people that insult the president's mother, the president's dead mother, the president's grandmother, the president's wife. She never stand up as a woman.
Thank you, Roselyn. Thank you. I think Roselyn has a fair point there. She has a very fair point there. And let's leave it there on the issue of the vice president. Prophet Key is one person who has been insulting the president. We Liberians should not condone such behavior. The vice president sat there and she didn't say anything. I think that's a fair point. This is focused on Liberia, and this is our Saturday evening program. Here I focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia. We are about the truth and nothing but the truth. If we see it to be wrong, it's wrong. Moving on. Let's get to the issue of Honorable Yeke Koluba. Honorable Yeke Koluba also penned a letter, just like the vice president penned a letter, resigning or use the word suspending his membership with the COP. The COP leadership responded by saying, oh, he's actually not suspending or leaving. He's on a medical leave. Is there any truth to that? But Yeke Koluba, in his letter, did not talk anything about medical leave. We want to know who's telling the story. I mean, who's telling the truth. Let's come to you, Letvie. What's your read into that? Is Yeke leaving the COP?
You know, Dennis, Anthony, this is whether he leaves or whether he does not leave, really. Mm-hmm. He suspended his membership, mm-hmm. as he stated, with because of medical issues. But he will still stand in and he will still speak for the Liberian people. He is an advocate, and he got into the position as representative to be able to have a louder voice for the people of Liberia and the people of his district. So he is suspending. Now, we know in America when they suspend their campaign, maybe they're coming back 2 years later or 4 years later to rerun. You know, so many of them have suspended their campaign. So he's suspending his membership for now. Maybe he may come back 2 years or something when he feels the need to. But I don't think that it's something to be of a topic. Before this December 30th protest that was supposed to happen, and it happened on the 6th. I mean, Yeke came out and he said some things that, you know, that we could see that he was very unhappy with. And so I looked at that and I would say, why did he become a part of the COP? What is the COP is my thing. Is the COP really for the people? Is the COP for interest? My thing is, you know, we have no permanent friends and no permanent enemies when it comes to politics. We only have permanent interests. So if the interest at this time of Yeke is to focus on what he has to focus on, his family and being an advocate for the people of Liberia and his district, I think that should be his focus. He did not make any permanent enemies and he did not make any permanent friends. They have only permanent interests. And I respect his decision. And I think he should go on from there. I will not say anything more about that. I respect Yeke. I think he's one of the stronger voices in Liberia that we need. I think he should do what he should do. And if his integrity matters to him, there's certain things that you have to do. And I think this comes to an ethical matter when it comes to Yeke. And I believe that he's going for his medical leave. You know, something like Yeke said on Prophet Key show, which I don't really watch, but I went to the point where PK said that he was bringing Yeke, and he tried to talk to Yeke, and Yeke said, look, I owe nobody no explanation. And he's right. He said, whatever I did in the COP, I did it because I wanted to do it. Nobody paid me to do it. And nobody paid me to get out of COP, and nobody paid me to get into COP. So if I suspend my membership for now and I want to come back, first of all, he's not a board member of the COP. He's just a member.
But Letvie, here's the thing. What's the impact? Yeke being such a powerful voice in the COP, what do you think the impact would be? Is it going to fracture the COP? Is this no impact, no effect, or how is it going to?
Well, Yeke brought substance to the COP in that when they brought in for protests and stuff, he was out there. He was out in the trenches, bringing the people together to protest and do what he felt is right for the country. And I think he worked really hard, and he worked really hard in what he did what he did. Yeke was himself when he was in the COP. I saw when the Yeke when they said they were going to have a second protest 30 days after they had the protest on June 7th. And Yeke went and spent his own money to buy pots and rice and stuff like that to feed these protesters. And what they did communicate with him to say, you know something, Yeke, this protest will not happen? Was it self-interest? There's a lot of things. You see, when I look at these things, I look at the things that's happening. Yeah. You may not listen to the voices, but you listen to, you see the body language and they're saying things too. Was that right for him to spend all the money that he had, not all his money, but all that to, you know, did he buy it for Liberty Party to go and feed the people after Darius Dillon won? Now, Darius is my brother, so I can say that. Did he buy the food? Were the people told that day not to go, and they were watered down or whatsoever when the other group went to Capitol Hill and they were not informed? All these things, you know, Yeke feels those things. And I believe that, you know, and this was in December was the last straw for him. And I think he said, look, after this, we will do this. After this, I'm taking a hiatus. And I go with him on his hiatus.
Thank you. Let me bring Roselyn. Roselyn, most of you on the who support the CDC look at Yeke as crazy. Are you relieved that he's no longer with the COP? And so there's not going to be that pressure of protest? What's your read?
He can go as far as ANC and wherever. I really don't care about his resignation. I don't care about his resignation from the COP or from the ANC or from the CPP and all those. That's not my concern. I'm only concerned that he should be respectful to his position. He should be respectful as a representative. He represents a district and thousands of them too. I don't care whether he wants to resign or jump over his car from COP. That's not my concern. My concern here is he should learn to respect leadership as well because he was an elected official. That's what my concern is. And for Letvie to talk about the disrespect on women when she can support PK. I didn't even know she can even call him PK. I didn't even know she would even know himself. I don't want to call PK insulting women, describing women body parts, and you can support an advice coming from someone like that to Yeke Koluba. That's a real shame. Women in Liberia or Liberian women that follow someone like PK, according to Letvie, they got to think again because it's sure not right. You can be complaining, fighting for or high profile female in our society and support someone that sits in a room every day insulting and describing women body parts because the person that you support had never been insulted by him, so you support him? Come on, man, you'll be talking.
Okay, since I'm being attacked on PK, and I call him PK because I don't call people prophets, and I don't, so I take and since I don't know how to pronounce his name the right way, because I will.
But I don't know him either, Letvie.
No, okay.
I don't know him.
Roselyn,
You talk on the defense of Letvie of the PK guy, and you were just here. You were just here buying sympathy for the vice president.
Let her respond.
But I'm still talking. She interrupted me. You're never allow me to talk when they are talking. You're never allow me to speak in between.
You stop. You ended, and then she started talking. So let her.
No, I took a pause.
Oh, okay. Go ahead then.
We didn't read into that well. Sorry, but let.
So letting her get her acts together. Letting her be defending the vice president.
You made that point already, Roselyn.
And suppose someone call PK and suppose someone call Yeke. But hey, that's the people, they're the opposition, But she should know how to set it right for other people to understand.
All right, Roselyn, let me go now.
Okay, can I speak now? This is good. Okay. When I call him PK, it's because I'm not calling anybody a prophet. I don't think, he called himself Prophet Key. Okay, because he's young, something key. Okay, I'm not gonna say a prophet because I respect prophets. I'm a spiritual being. That's one thing you have to understand. Now, now you come to say that I supported him because he was speaking to Yeke. I was saying what Yeke has said on his show. Now, do I support him cursing people? Do I support him describing women parts? I'm a woman. So if he described women parts and I support that, then he describing my woman part too. So that's what I have to understand. If he described a woman part, here he describing my part, but we have to understand here. We have to put things in perspective. Because you listen to somebody does not mean that you support everything they do. I may not be for a particular party. But there's something in each party that I can see that I can take and use. So, and like I said, one thing with the CDC, the only thing I can take out of the CDC that I can say that other people should use is the unity. They have the unity there. So it doesn't matter whether they're wrong or right, they have that unity. I said, so, and I tell the other people, I say, something, let's take that unity because we need that unity. Unity stands, and together, it's easier to break one baboon stick than to break 10 baboon sticks. So let's look at that. So not because I listen to somebody and I may agree with certain things that he said, but I may not agree with everything he says. So we should be able to have our mind expanded, and we should not have this tunnel vision where this is the only way. This is not the only way. So the only way for you to enlighten yourself and to have a broad mind is to be able to read and listen to things people say. So the more you read, the more you listen, the more diverse you are, the better you are to be able to come into conversations and communications with other people. And what my pastor always tell me, she said, eat the melons and spit out the seeds. So if there's something that is good in what is being said, take it in. If it's not for you, spit it out. I was listening to Farrakhan the other day. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not Islamic. I'm not part of the Farrakhan. But you listen to Farrakhan, and he had a speech. And I listened to that man because there's some things that he said that just makes sense. And what he was saying, he said, something, we talk about women, and we say that women should not come out. If you go to the mosque, you see the men in the mosque, but the women are out there in the dirt. but they're the ones that brought you to the light. They're the ones that birthed you. You know,
All right,
he said,
let me fit there.
yeah, so no, let me just explain to her. So it's
You
not
make your point,
Not
Letty.
explaining anything, Letty.
You made your point. You made your point. We got 2 more stories to go to.
Okay.
And so, ladies, let us conclude on this, and let me do the conclusion. Then we'll move to the next story. I don't need to deny you the opportunity to respond, Roselyn, but let's move to another story. Yeke Koluba has been vocal. We know he's been a member of the COP. He's been spending his own money. At some point, Yeke Koluba will make a statement that if the protest is suspended or postponed, I will not, be part of any protest again. I remember for sure he made that statement. We don't know whether or not this might be one of the reasons why he has suspended his membership, or what the COP leadership is saying is because he has some medical issue and he's taking a medical leave. No one knows the truth, but one thing I know is the truth will always show up someday. Another thing Yeke Koluba said in his letter too, though, is that he said at some time in the future, when he feels the need to reactivate his membership, he will so do. So ladies, let us leave it there. Let's move on to another hard protocol story.
Mr. Sia, let me throw this in that I heard just before the show.
All right, go ahead, go for it.
This is the whole letter from Honorable Koluba is fake news, and that this is a strategy so that that the COP and Mr. Yeke Koluba are doing. So I'm just throwing it out there because that was said to me. So I just want to throw it out there. When it comes through, we'll be here to commentate it right here on Focus on Liberia.
All right, thank you. So we'll know whether or not that is another fake news. So Roselyn and Letty, so Madame Penna, she called herself the striker. I don't know, it's in football, politics. She is back. She's on the political field. She's throwing punches. This time, she's going after Darius DeLong, referring to Darius DeLong as the rat, and she's the cat. And the reason why the rat have been roaming around is because she's the cat, has not been around, and that she's back, and we will see what happened. So we all complain about the language here and there. Was she on message to have referred to another lawmaker as a rat? Roselyn, this political plenty check is for you. Go for it.
Okay. But before I go to the Mona Pelham, let me make it clear about the Yeke Koluba story. That's why I didn't get into it. But I read a letter on social media that says that he was indefinitely, stepping back from the COP. Okay, and I don't know where the sick leave stuff is coming from, but it's not mentioned in the letter. But since he said it's a fake news, it was good I didn't even talk anything about it. So yes, when it comes to the Honorable Representative Mona Pelham, speaking about the Darius DeLong, those are all political jargons, and we are in the campaign season. This is a year for elections, representatives and senatorial elections. This is a year for it. So it's time that people be out there and express themselves how they feel about their opponents. And I don't think anything was wrong with that. The opposition used a whole lot of words against seditions. They call us tiny seditions. They call us a whole lot of names on planet Earth. And we just go about doing our job, our political job that we got ourselves in. So I don't think anything is wrong when Honorable Pelham said that the rats were out here. And she gave out a reason why she said what she said. Who is Darius DeLong compared to her when he wants to condemn, certain people that they are not on his level, that he cannot speak to them because they are not on his level? Who is he? So Mona put out some stuff out there. If you feel you are so and so and so, as you claim, let me see your 9th grade WIAC certificate. before you come and talk down on people. So she considered him to be a rat. And it's the same in every household. When daddy is out, all the kids are wild. And they call the kids these little rats. The cat is gone, all the rats will come outside. So that's what happened in her absence. And she was trying to make that very clear. You know, so those are all political jargons, you know. And I don't know what's funny, Letvie, because you said nothing here, so nothing funny here.
You said when daddy is out, the kids will come out.
When daddy is gone, the kids come out and misbehave.
Okay, Roselyn, let me ask you a question before we go to Letvie.
Go ahead.
You keep doing this tit for tat, right? You were saying, okay, this person's insult, and so I mean, they call us tiny citizens, so they right to do this. They insult the president, so in essence, it's okay to insult the vice president. So this is what I'm getting from you. Is that what we want in our
What is good for John is good for Paul. I believe in Moses' law. You do me, I do you.
Wow.
You heard all right? Eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye.
And
yes.
That's how you want us to play the politics
you
in our country?
You don't like people to do certain things to you. Don't do it to others.
But if
you sit and you feel sorry for the vice president being disrespected, but at the same time you cheer up people that insult the president of the Republic of Liberia, and then you say, I shouldn't say tick for tat. Yes, eye for an eye. You do me, I do you. If somebody can stand up and fight for the president to put things on course, why not? Why not? He is the president. He is the head of state.
But normally
the vice president was never disrespected by those people. The red stuff that she was doing, and not to insult her the way they insult the president's parent and his wife. She is the first lady, and nobody, no opposition came out to condemn those acts. But as soon as Joel Howard come out to say, hey, they give me my bill, hey, everybody want to take it to be a big issue. She's a big girl. She can fight for herself.
Thank you. Let's go to Letvie.
Okay, so we at the rat coming out and the cat's coming out. You know, today this is the year of the rat anyway.
Okay, that's good.
So this is the year of the rat in Chinese New Year. So we have the year of the rat. So now Muna is the dad and she's back, and the cat, I guess the big cat is out. And so what is Josh? He's not the president. So why is the rat playing and the cat is not in town? But anyway, like
I don't get that part.
Well, because that's what you said. I'm just going with what you said. You said the dad was away and the children would play. So now Muna is the dad and the children were playing. So she's coming to put the children in perspective. But like I said, you know, Muna is in there to do her, she is starting her campaign for whether the senatorial or whichever race she's starting. She's trying to get into the race. So CDC is looking to see who is the best candidate to put against Darius Dillon come November or October. So, and if she is the best voice that they feel that can come against Darius Dillon, then, you know, she will come against him. And so Muna is used to mudslinging. And what is the disadvantage with this is because she's coming against a man. So if the man mudsling also, they would say, well, he's disrespecting a woman. But when it comes to it, it's like, look, if like Roselyn said, if you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And she said it on here, so people should run with it, and I will run with that. So if Muna is the cat, no, you said what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So there is no male or female when it comes into politics. So that means if you coming out to sling, then whoever you're running against, you come out and sling just how you slinging. And whoever the mud hits, let it hit. And then we should not come and say, oh, because she's a female or she's a male. That's what you're saying. We should not feel sorry for the vice president because let her put her big girl panties on and stand strong. Let her be the woman because she's among the men. She has a man's job. So it's the same thing with Mona, whether she's been sick or she hasn't been sick, she wants to come into the race. They didn't say it's a cat race, it's a rat race. Let her come into it, and then let the person who she's running against, let them do the mudslinging the way they need to do the mudslinging. And it should not be that he's a man. If he can show his ninth grade WIAC exam thing, then let her show her ninth grade WIAC exam results. You know, if you want to go back to that. And if since she's back and wants to be the cat, she has to understand that the rats can outpower the cat sometimes. So if she wants to play that game, let her come and we will all play it. But she's in her political things right now. So she's campaigning. She's in her political campaign, and let people be wise. I said, look, let's learn. When you're on the field to play, when you're playing a game, that's why you go back and you look at the mistakes and stuff that you made. So if you have, when you're in a game, you know, I used to love basketball some time back. You in a game, what they do is they will sit us down and say, okay, we're going to play this team, but let's look back at our last game that we played. What could we have done? What were our mistakes and what we did? So these are the things that they look at. And so if the sedition wants to come out and say, well, let's start slinging, because we have learned from them in the last 2 years. We know their style, we know their strategy. And their strategy is to sling. And people are saying, okay, we cannot sling because we're so democratic. Hey, you throw that out. When you're dealing with a mud, you have to play in the mud. If you're a wrestler, you have to wrestle. So and if you're in the mud, let's play in the mud.
Let's look at Molan Penon versus A.B. Darros Dillon 2020 senatorial race, Masurado County.
Mm-hmm.
Who's winning?
Right now, nobody's winning. Because as Mona said, you see, and it's just so good, as Mona went and retracted her statement. She said, look, let me tell you something. I just came and I said what I had to say, but I really did. So whatever it was that she was saying. But you know, right now, if the campaign is on, it's a thing to reckon with. But what I'm hearing from the CDC camp that Mona is not running, actually they want to put Pauletta way back. But I think it would be a mistake if they put Pauletta way back. I think they should try Mona. They should try her. I don't know if she's strong enough to do it, but they should try her. But I don't think anybody is winning at this time.
All right, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and is our Saturday evening conversation on the high protocol topics. Everyone talking about both in the homeland and in the diaspora. We have Roselyn, who just joined us from Switzerland and is in the morning there, but she said, hey, when it comes to politics, I'm your girl. And she's here, she's playing ABBA. And Letvie, she's with us here in the US. She said, I'm here. She's from the opposition bloc, but hey, this conversation is all about Liberia. It's not where you stand on the issues, but it's all about Mama Liberia. Mr. Ja, one thing Mona also said, I listened to the audio, she said, she is the mentor and the other people in the field are her mentee. She's the professor, and she had given a test and the students have failed. They didn't perform. And so she's here. So clearly, Mr. Ja, she's running for the Senate. She said it that even if she does not get on a ticket, she will go from district to district to campaign against the rats, talking about Darros Dillon.
Mr. C, what you make of that finger walking from young blood?
Well, that's young blood. We reach out to her, yeah, Focus on Liberia. We hope she can pick up the bill and come here so we can talk.
Let's bring in some colors to spice this up.
All right, let's do that.
All right. Okay, we got caller on the line, your name and where you're calling from. Hello, caller, your name and where you're calling from. We got no words there. We go to our next caller. And that is
hello, you can hear me?
Oh,
hello?
Okay. You bounce?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. Go ahead, your question or comments.
All right. Yeah, I have a comment and then two questions. Anyway, my name is Ben and I'm calling from Minnesota. So the
Ben,
first thing that I want to say is that I do not support. Yeah,
yeah, go ahead,
I
Ben.
do
Just
not
fix your
support the
phone a little
city
bit.
government. Yeah, I do not support the city government, but there are a few things that I want to say. There are some things that they are doing good and there are some things they are doing very bad. But that being said, I want to address the statement that Mona Penner made. I think that statement was not as bad as most people are taking it because she used a very good personification. And what made that statement to be very good was the fact that she injected herself into the particular statement. Had she just kept herself out of the statement, it would have been bad. But she included herself. So she used those two animated objects and ascribed them to two human beings. So I do not see anything wrong with that statement at all. I mean, it was just perfect. Now, my next thing that I will like to talk about, but anyway, the lady called Roselyn had already addressed it, and that has to do with the VP about the 1 a.m. call. I think, yeah, I think when you are in those kinds of jobs, it requires you to work at all times. And if the VP of the country, if the excuse is that she is not safe, if the VP cannot be safe, that tells us that the entire country is in hell. Because if our vice president cannot be safe, then what kind of country are those people running? So those are the 2 points that I actually wanted to stress.
Thank
you.
you.
You can take the next caller while I hang up. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Our next caller, that will be Pape Flomo. Pape Flomo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Yeah, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well.
Thanks for having me. Let me just cut straight to the chase. Now, the sister who was speaking, I'm not referring to Sis Roselyn. I'm referring to the other lady. What is the name? I want to,
Letvie Thompson.
Letvie Thompson.
Okay, Letvie, yeah, Sis Letvie. Yeah, exactly. What she was saying, that Mona Penner should be careful. If she tries to sling mud, they will sling mud at her. She shouldn't play the female card or the woman card later. I think she doesn't know Mona Penner. I got to know Mona Penner like maybe 2 months ago, but I researched on her and I went all the way back as far as back when CDC was having the campaign. This woman, they've slung mud on her so many times, and she did not deter. She's tough. She's resolved. She's resolute. So she's not going to play any woman card. She's not going to complain about anybody slinging mud on her. So if she's thinking about Mona Penner, she's not complaining when the boys are ready to sling mud on her. What I want to tell her, she doesn't know Mona Penner. Now, one more thing too. There have been so many women who have been slinging mud on men in politics, even in Liberia. They have this woman called Cecilia Chippy. She's in South President. We are on a daily basis. Yesenia Martin, she does the same. There's another lady, I know her last name, I think it's Latrobe, but I don't know her first name. Her last name is Latrobe. She insults the president and makes different T-shirts every day, insulting the president and the president's mother, and sometimes using profanity. So this is not the first time, women have been slinging mud on men. So women, they have been doing it in politics. Let me end here, my brother. Okay. Mona spoke metaphorically. Even politics in America, people do it. You see, when the American government, they go out there and then radicalize people, what do? They come back to the country as terrorists and they attack Americans, right? What do Americans say? Their chickens have come home to roost. They are saying that the people you have bred out there, they are not coming back home to roost. So she was speaking metaphorically. She didn't mean Delon is a physical rat. So that is a political term, like Sis Roselyn said. So I will stop here and you bring another person in, my brother. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, before we get another person, and he said his name was Pape Flomo, so let me answer him. I did not say that Mona will say that the men are slinging mud at her. I said, in the political scene, there is no gender. So people who will come out, it may not be Mona, but it will be other people that support her. Like you're crying now to say that people are saying things about the president's mother, the president's wife, and stuff like that. People are crying to say those things. So they're stepping in those people's stead to speak for those people. And this is what I'm talking about. So please, when you're listening to the communication and the conversation, let's listen with accuracy.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sear, hosting. The veteran Dennis Jai is here. I think he's coaching today, but that's why it is. So, Mr. Jai.
Yes, sir.
So, I asked you earlier that when I said she's a professor in this business, so she's not going to cry, baby. So anybody want a Muslim, let them bring it on. She's a candidate from her soundbite. What do you think?
No, I think she's ready to rumble, and and I think her base is loving it.
All right, like I'm to you, Roselyn. Another thing is that because here we play fair to the truth and nothing but the truth. The opposition base, or most of whom I want to believe are Dara Dillon's supporter, went after Muna very harshly. They used words on her. You were saying that an eye for an eye, you like that. Do you have any sympathy for Muna, the way she's being insulted publicly on Facebook, putting her picture? We know she's not well, and I saw the image, I'm like, Liberians, do we have to do this? You think that's fair game, Roselyn? Any sympathy for her?
Well, no one buys sickness. If she's not well and someone want to make mockery of that, what goes around comes around. If you don't know words to use that she used in retaliation to her, then you want to bring her down on her ailment, she didn't buy it. Anybody can get sick at any time. And then what? So there's nothing to make political out of that. If somebody tell you you're a rat or you're a rat or you're a cat, tell them there's something else too. But if you want to be, talking about their sickness, watch out what's going to come for you. So, like I said, eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Yeah. Muna Pelon, she's a strong young woman. And when it comes to politics, she's been there for a good while now. So I cannot even fight for Muna because Muna can defend herself to the fullest. So if Darius Dillon wants to go down that route, then so be it. But Muna is going to take a challenge, and I know she can defend herself.
All right, let's go to the line and bring in Kasali Double. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Jai.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the time to come here along.
Kasali, somebody behind you looking for
and
me.
I want to say thank you.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I left the noise already.
Okay, go ahead.
And I also want to say good evening to Mr. Sear and to your
studio guest.
Finally, studio guest to say. On the issue, I want to discuss the issue with our VP first of all. Mr. Jai, the VP was never wrong in coming public to do what she did. The VP had discussed this thing. If you read thoroughly on everything the VP said, the VP took every means possible to have amicably resolved this thing before bringing it to the light. The VP wrote the Senate. The VP even got the elders involved. If you read carefully, she told you that the elders even discussed this issue. And yet nothing was done. So the VP had done everything as a leader, as a good leader. She did everything not to bring this government to public ridicule. Okay? But being the leader of the government, the president, did not play his card well. And can you imagine this thing started since 2 years ago? That tells you that as soon as they got into power, this thing began. From the inception of this government, The government is 2 years. So if they started 2 years ago, that tells you that CDC only used the VP to get her vote. They did not actually want her into this government. They played their card well, and their card worked for them. That was about bringing her and getting her vote. I bet you if the VP had not gotten into the race, CDC would not have won Bond County. I can tell you that for sure. Following the election record in Liberia, CDC had not won Bond County all the past elections. They have been way down, way behind. So if the vice president had not gotten into the race on the ticket of the CDC, they would not have won Bond County. Even the amount of votes they accumulated from Lopa County and Nimba County, they would not have gotten it. She was used. And then she came out to tell you that the reason why she's complaining is not because of herself as an individual. She's a mother, one. She has officials working for her in her government. And you know how it is in Liberia. The moment you say something against the government, especially the president, people come hunting at you. They come saying things at you. They even come go to the extent of targeting you. So when you hear her saying that she's complaining, security and other stuff, it's not only about herself as the vice president, but she has an office staff behind her.
Okay.
They might not target her directly. They could target her office staff. She might not be there to protect them. She can have protection for herself. But what about those people who are working with her? So, I mean, it is so sad that, I will have people come on air in public to be able to support this kind of a thing. You and I are working here. We don't even go 2 weeks without getting paid. If you work for people in this country for even 1 hour, you get paid for 1 hour. Not to talk about 2 years benefit. It is a disgrace. It is so sad that we as Liberians who are claiming to be practicing democracy will be supporting these things. It is very sad that people will come even in your studio where we have thousands of people monitoring this thing, to come and be supporting these things. It is a disgrace. Especially for females, I think it is a very big disgrace that we shouldn't even support. Thank you very much for your time. I beg to leave.
Thank you. Let's bring in one more caller, and then Roselyn, you go first after this caller. Hello, caller. Your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Mr. Job. This is Lofa calling from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Lofa Julius?
Yes.
Welcome. Your question or comment?
Yeah, this is Lofa Julie. Thank you. Let me first of all start off by saying thanks to Sis Letvie today for literally helping our sister Roselyn to understand a little bit about what's happening in Liberia. I really want to say thank you so much. You have done your due diligence. With that said, and I also want to say to Sis Roselyn too, thank you for also taking on the challenge to come out here and try to participate in the discussion. Now, one thing I really wanted to point out here is I think when Sis Roselyn spoke of respect, and she's mentioning the fact that President George Weah have not been respected, the vice president have not done her part when people threw insults at the president to come out and speak about it. But in that regards, let me say this, that the president himself have been the one who have literally disrespected the Liberian people from the get-go. From the minute he took office, he started to disrespect all of us. Okay, and how did the president disrespect us? And I'll say it. First of all, the fact that the president did not take into consideration the plight of the people, with all of the situations we have today, with people dying from curable diseases, people can barely afford jobs today in our country, and all the different circumstances that surround our country today, the president chose to literally erase properties for himself. Okay, that in itself is disrespectful to the people in Liberia. The president have not addressed that. When the people are concerned about the economic situation, they are complaining, they are taken to the street. The president refused to address their concerns. He refused to even talk to his own people. He rather sent surrogates to play something similar to what are supposed to be a spokesman, because the Fangons and the Eugenes are not doing anything that represents anything close to information and dissemination, because they're not doing it. They're deceiving the general public. So I think President Weah himself have done more than disrespect to all of us. So when we're speaking of respect here, I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that the vice president is a woman. And President Weah, who have literally said to us time without number that he respects his mother and he cares about his mother, he will honestly show her some sort of respect so that she would not be intimidated in her role. The feminist, that he called himself, right? But then you're working with your counterpart, your vice president, and you make her to feel the way she feels right now. I think that in itself is being disrespectful. Now, with that said, I don't condone the idea of people having to take to the social media to insult the president's mother. I don't think that should be accepted. I don't believe that that is the way to participate in our politics. I think our politics these days, or I don't know if that's always been the case, because I just, like 2 years ago, got into Liberian politics, but it has become so toxic to the point where all we have is hate. We just full of so much hate and resentment. I don't think this is what politics is about. We need to discuss the issues and find possible solutions to some of the problems we have in our country so that we can better the lives of ourselves and our brothers and sisters back home and compete with neighboring countries like the Ghana, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and other places. Thanks for allowing me to participate. And again, Sis Letvie, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sis Letvie, you're the only one here, but remind Lofa that Anson is also here. Mr. Jal, are we taking one more before we get to
Anthony, thank you to Anthony.
Yeah,
Anthony, thank you too.
All right, Lofa, I'm just kidding, man.
we'll go to Roselyn.
I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The two colors were your response to both colors, Roselyn.
Oh, okay. The first caller talk about the VP brought in voters to the CDC, to the coalition. I don't understand why would he even say that without her CDC would not have won. I beg you, brother. CDC won 14 counties. Don't forget that. Bond County was divided. The votes were spread around with Unity Party, because Unity Party is very strong in Bond County. And all of that, they never won Bond County. The only county that the coalition lost was Lofa County. But there were people that voted also from Lofa County. So for him to come and say that that she's being used because of her votes on Bond County. Bond County is a hugely populated voting county in the first place, and the votes from Bond County were all shared. So you can't tell me that all of the votes that from Bond County was all because of her. I'm sorry to say that it's not true. It was shared, and the the coalition, the CDC, happened to have won Bond County, and not because she's senator for Bond County or because she's from Bond
what's
County.
wrong with giving her credit for Bond County?
If she did, then it's good. And she says vice president anyway, so why not? So Nima County gave their votes too, but they're not vice president. They have the Senator Johnson, because of Senator Johnson also he got votes there, but CDC have always had votes on Nima County as well. So for somebody to believe that because of the vice president, that's why CDC is at the throne today, I find that difficult to believe.
So Roselyn, he's saying no truth in that at
14
all?
counties. And then on the line of the salary, he was talking about the salary. Hey, this government took a broken economy, and Joanne Howard Taylor, the vice president, and the president they all work in the past government as senators. And Joanne Howard Taylor, the vice president, knows the kind of economy they took over. And I never heard of her. I never heard of her giving 10% of her salary back to the government, as the president did.
She said she didn't get it. How do you get what you don't receive?
Didn't she receive 3 million in her budget to run her office?
That's what the finance minister is saying. And she is saying that's not
and
true.
Is he wrong for saying that? It's not true?
She's saying that is not true.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought one of you said that, yes, it's true, she received the 3 million the budget.
I was telling you what the finance minister said. And when I said that, I was reading an article in which front page quoted the finance ministry. And she is saying that is not true.
But then I don't understand why is this why is she still sitting on there?
Yeah, you make your recommendation that she should resign. Maybe she should listen
to
me.
I didn't make the recommendation. Her own Letvie said that she supports her to resign. You have welcomed that, right?
And you have welcomed that.
I said, if she said, "Oh, that's her family people, or that's her family very close to the vice president." She always says she's not part of them. She knows them, but she knows details about their function. So she said that all along. I've been saying that the vice president should be strong, and I believe that she's a strong woman because she admires President Sirleaf in her political arena. That and I believe she's a strong woman. And okay. I think she can handle the situation instead of always people trying to feel sorry for the woman. Why are you feeling sorry for the woman? She tell you something is wrong, and she and her president are going to be discussing it. They're going to solve the problem. What is so difficult enough for people to understand?
All right, Roselyn, let's go to our next topic. And anything you have on mind, keep it. You will also have the time to come to it. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is focused on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sear. And Daneja is in the house, and we are discussing the high protocol topics everybody talking about. Our final story here is the COP now the alternative. It is clear now that the COP has sucked the lifeline out of the opposition political parties. Everybody talking about the COP. You don't hear about the CPP anymore. Some people are even floating that maybe the leader of the COP should run for the presidency. What is going on? If that is anything to believe, is the COP prepared to govern? That is our final story. But Mr. Jha, let's take our caller and then we'll come by to our panelists.
Okay. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Koto Jala, calling from New York.
Oh, it was beautiful to take you because you are our only female caller. So thank you so much, Koto, for calling. Your question or comment?
Yeah, okay, thank you for having me on your show. And I want to commend the two ladies, coming to discuss the political issue, especially for our vice president. And I actually want to get hats up to Letvie. I really do not know the two of them well, but listening to the discussion is like a balance. And what I actually look at from Roselyn's point is like she is just focusing on the team. But I want to talk to my sisters there that the issue of Liberia is not one-side issue. We should look at it and balance it. Today, it is the vice president. Any chance, Roselyn, I'm speaking. The issue is about Liberia, and we are discussing it on the Liberia point, on the understanding of Liberian people. We should be concerned that if one issue comes to an individual, is every one of us in a problem. And this is why, for me, I have a program we discuss democracy. And this is where we come from when it says democracy. We should respect one another's view because we are all important. No one is more than the other. She is there as the vice president. She equally potential and have the power too to exhibit as the president has. And my point I have with her as the president and VP, if I were the one, I'm telling you, I will not sit there and somebody ride over my head. And I'm saying it. Because if President studies a female who had the whole country, then you as a female vice president, you sit there and allow people to ride over you. And I know the language that the CDC government has. And there, Roselyn is accepting that they don't care about if somebody lash at them, they go at them. It's the Moses law. Okay, if it is the Moses law, then why was she against the COP launching their protest? Because this is a party that has protests from time immemorial to the end of their leadership of the leadership of the Unity Party. So why is she not saying this? You know, we should be very careful. This is our country. If something affects one person, just study go a little bit to what happened in Sierra Leone. See what happened to these people when they came to look at the coastal issue. What did they say? Anything that happened to one is for every one of us. Okay. We should not sit there because it is not me, and I say it is not me today, and I look at other people being disrespected. The vice president office is disrespected, and we should know that it's disrespected. But I want to blame her so much that she sat there and she signed the deal with the devil. And when you sign the deal with the devil, that's what you accept. She is getting out of this disrespect because she has not demanded her self-respect. She should demand it and stand her ground because she is the vice president. She should be respected. Yes.
There's a saying in my hometown. They say when they are going to bury a hunchback man, you have hunchback, you should go to the grave. When VP Boakai was complaining that he was a parked car in the garage, what did the VP, the non-VP say? I mean,
and she was there. Like, look at every one of us here, all women here. Let's look at women issues right now. Has the VP then vocal on women issues? Of course, no. And I want to be balanced in it because I do not want to lay one side. No, she has not been focused on women issues. And let me tell you something. If she was really behind issue and attacking issues, we will all be here trying, attacking the president on her concern. And this is why, for me, I have problem with her. She is highly disrespected. And she should voice it. But my point is, the way she's voicing it out, like in sympathy, I would not be in sympathy. And if it's me, I'd be radical. I would be radical and voice it out and demand my respect. That's what she is doing.
Thank you.
See, and I'm highly disappointed about Roselyn for the comment she's making that eye on eye. This is not how a government should be running. A government should be a government of respect of everyone, not just one side, because you see that you should do things to other people because you are in power. Tomorrow you're not going to hold power. I don't care what they say, whatever power you want to say in 26 years or 27 years, those years will definitely come to an end. You have to have other leaders that will be the leader of Liberia. So I want to thank you so much, Letvie. I really admire your analysis, Letvie, and I thank you so much. And thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Koto.
All right. Back to our panelists. We have introduced the last story talking about the COP. The COP now is the most talked about, I would say, institution in our politics today. Is the COP now the new opposition bloc?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. No, the COP is not the new opposition bloc. The COP has a loud voice and they are voicing, but that does not mean the opposition bloc. we need to teach and we need to educate our people, because this is why we're in the problems we're in today. And I do not look at the CDC government as the problem of Liberia. I go back to 1980. When Tolbert was overthrown, I go back to then, because Liberia has been in a downward spiral since 1980. It's not the seditions or anything. So, and what I want us to understand most of the time is we're not about a government. Some of us talk about the past UP government. It's just that we did not have the public venue like we have now, the social network, to come out and talk how we were talking before. But we were always vocal on the wrongs of the country. And most of us, after the war, I would say Liberia really never had an democratically elected government. And people may disagree with me, but we never really had a democratically elected government in Liberia. And I don't think we ever had it, because we had the what was it, the True Week Party, right? The TWP. We never had a democratically elected government. Okay, so and I will say this, when Tolbert was overthrown and Dole was put in by the US government to run the country, when he did go for election, he was not democratically elected. He took the election and he said he won. Then we went down to, we had issues there, and then we had the first interim government, and then we went into the war, and we had we had two interim governments, right? Yeah. No, we had the first interim government, then we had Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor didn't win because the people were so loving of him. Because I don't think any sound-minded person will say, you kill my ma, you kill my pa, I will vote for you, are not traumatized. So what brought Charles Taylor into governance is traumatization. And this is something, so we start to go back and see that Liberians been traumatized since 1985. And then you get into the second interim government, and then you come into with the Ellen Sirleaf thing, which was a lot of wheeling and dealing and money going back and forth and stuff. Because of her influence, she got into the presidency, not because she was democratically elected. Again, it's because of influence in high places that got her put into the position as the president of Liberia. And what I said is, in my times, I said, maybe we should have won in 2005, then we will not have the issues we have in now, because Ellen Johnson would have done what she usually did to the other presidents and would have gotten her way, and we would not be having that issue now. Then we will be having the issue with her getting her, and then CDC will not be talking today, because they think it's only them that we're talking about. Okay, and then when it came to 2017 election, Weah was not democratically elected, as most would say. He was given the election by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, but that's, I'm not going to come here and argue with anybody that he won the 15 counties or the 14 counties. I'm not going to argue with that, because we know what the FBI report said. So I always look at the things in the back, and we just say we have what we have, so let us deal with what we have. We're hoping that hopefully, if this government is sustainable with what is going on in Liberia, that we will have an election in 2023, and we're hoping that is going to be democratically elected. Person will come into power if we educate our people, because there are so many traumatized people there. I put out a video, which was a rap video, and this person was not a Liberian, but he was an American. And I said, I hope that could go viral and not virus, like most Liberians would say. But I wanted to go virus. My girlfriend said, no, Letvie, let it go virus, because that's how the Liberian people say it. Let it go virus, because he's teaching us how to educate our people on voting. Now, we have a generation that do not learn in the classroom. They learn through music. Let's use music to teach our people how to vote. Let's use the music. Let us use the music. Let us make this music and get it to them, that they will understand how important the vote is.
Letvie.
You see, so we cannot, and this is something just education on our people. But when you come to the point of COP is not a viable political party. And I hope we are not stupid like we did in the last time to go and say because the person is popular, so we should vote them in to become a president. I hope not. And this is why I am looking into how can we educate our people now to do better. And this is not because of CDC. This is because of the long history, the 40 years history of what Liberia has have found herself in.
Letvie,
And,
I want to ask you on your analogy of that there has been no democratic election since then. I don't know if you go back to 1847, whether there has been one. And
well, I wasn't born then. I read the thing, but you know something, Dennis.
But let me finish my point. Okay, so if there has been no democratic elections in Liberia since the foundation of the country, what makes you think that next election going to be the exception?
Again, a lot of us have grown up, and a lot of us have come to understand the importance of what voting is. And that's why I said we have to teach our people on how to vote. And I may be in the same boat like those, like you know, our brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers in Liberia right now, if I was there. But I learned and I got through education, I understand the importance of what political governance is. So this is why I can say that we never really had, and I'm talking about the Tubman time to now. 1847, I don't know. I you know, I read the history, but there's a lot of things in the history too, because there was a time came with Barclay and Tubman. You know, when Tubman extended his leadership time, when he came to the people and said he wanted to go, but what deals did he make in the back that the people came out and said, no, we want you to remain our leader all that time. And this was done in 1947 or 1950 or something like that. So these are the things that I'm saying. Was there ever really a democratic election? I would have to go back and research to see if there was, but I believe we still have the issues that we're having now, even back in the 1800s.
Thank you, Letvie. And let's come to you, Roselyn. Somebody from the opposition bloc or a member of the COP will say the CDC is a threat of the COP. We're looking at the political field. The COP has like taken all the energy out of the opposition political parties. And its leader is fearless. We have seen him gone to Liberia, organize protests, and come back triumphantly, somebody will say. So I think you are facing your wise nightman, those of you who are pro-government. What do you say to that?
Are you kidding me? Facing a worst nightmare? First of all, let me address Letvie first when she talked about never had there been a democratically elected government. Yes, maybe, but this last one we had was democratically elected government. I know you're in denial of the fact that George Weah is your president, but just get on with it because he is your president. And there's no telling. 15 counties, whether you like it or not, that's what's on the books. CDC won 14 counties. Out of 15, she won 14 counties. Take it or leave it, they are facts. I don't know where you're coming from with your FBI story. The FBI told you there was no proper democratically elected government. Even the chancellor government, chancellor election, yes, the people were saying you kill my money, you kill my power, vote for you. But your former president in the United States was there. He conducted the elections, and he said it was free and fair elections. So who are we to say that the great United States sponsor and monitor the elections in our country? And they came out with findings that everything went well. And you're talking about 2005. He said maybe a CDC should have taken the election. Fair enough, they should have. But all the same, the superpower decided that no, it was not time for George Weah to be the president of the Republic of Liberia. So they considered that elections to be free and fair. So what are you coming from with your statistics? Then 2017 elections came out again, and then you don't want to accept that George Weah won democratically, and it was a well elected, a well planned campaign, and election went on. You guys, the opposition, even took the CDC or took the government to court. Ellen Johnson, NEC appointed position that the elections were not free and fair. You went to court. We went to court. The country almost plunged into another chaos because of that. But because of CDC, the leader of the CDC-led government made sure, told the people to be calm, to be resolved, and that this thing was going to pass and will become victorious. And that's what happened. People went to the ballot boxes. Maybe you didn't go vote, but that's not our business. But you can't sit and tell me that this election was not democratically elected, and there has never been a democratically elected government in the country. So if the great United States can have flaws, I'm just trying to give an example. I'm not saying the same thing should happen to Liberia, but they did. So how can you say we're not democratically elected? If it was not democratically elected government, we would probably be in chaos. The same people that you supported sat down there 1996 and they served the nation where they're what's the old man name? The one that got the Peanuts farm, the former president of the United States.
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was on the ground after that election, and he said it was free and fair elections. So where is Letvie coming from that we never had a democratically elected government? So I just see it that she's having problem accepting the fact that this president is the president of the Republic of Liberia, and he's going to serve for 12 years, my sister.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Anson Sear. Dennis Jai is also in the house. And we are discussing the high political topics of the day. Here I focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia. I have a challenge for you, our listeners. You are about 200 here following the show. I will ask you to go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our programs here can be uploaded an hour later after our broadcast, sometime after 2 hours. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that is our way of asking you to support what we do here. Again, we like you to always join us here. Dennis, let's take a caller.
I see that few callers are still hanging around, but let's pick the one who just joined us.
Right.
Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Thank you. I'm Dixon Gonga calling from Louisville, Kentucky.
Dixon, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
Yeah, I'll get a question, but I will have a comment around before I ask the question.
Okay.
Says Roselyn, I really appreciate you for your splendid articulation and educating our sister on the other side about the illusion she's carrying around that's going to degenerate into our society tomorrow, based on years to come that there was no election in our country. That has been a myth. If that her thinking is a myth, you need to clarify and tell the Liberian people the truth. Because if you say that we have not had election, then what become of 1996 election? What become of 2005 and 2011 election. Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
1997 and 2005 and 2011 election. That you guys sat there and the election was rigged in front of your eyes. People got killed. None of you who on the station here today were advocates. In fact, some of you guys conspire with this guy who had a radio station, QFN, when the former security person of Burma Formula threatened to kill people that day on that Monday, threatened to kill people on Padre Honda show that Monday morning. That they brought new ammunition into the country. If anybody try anything, they're going to kill them. That record is there. None of you challenge that. None of you disagree with that, because it was your glorious day. Because Ellie is some of you, God, you believe in Ellie.
Let's go to the
there. This country went into this situation. But my question here to you is, when you get to realize, my question is to not just Roselyn, but the other lady, I'm not seeing her name too clear.
Okay.
When you get to realize that Liberia have never had a transparent election,
Thank you.
we had election in Liberia 2017, and the next one is in America. You talk about education, the education about the election. In America, here, I do know, I'm a U.S. citizen here. Yes, people go all around and do civil education about election. In fact, people wear their T-shirts to go vote when a Donald Trump is on the election is on their T-shirt. And in Liberia, we do that. In fact, people go from country to country to educate people. So how you reconcile those statements? How you reconcile these two? That people, there is no sufficient education in Liberia. So based upon that, our people are not educated and they just go and vote randomly. So, I mean, your statement towards that, I want you to reconcile that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gonga. Let me bring in Ben. Ben, you spoke before, but you came back. So let me just give you 1 minute to make your point.
Yeah, you gotta give me 1 minute. Okay, so one thing that I want to say is I have an advice for the focus on Liberia, and my advice here is this: talking about a person like the vice president's salary, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think it is disingenuous to certain people of our country, because these people who we are talking about, if these people are making pounds of dollars, we don't have to cry for them. Let them cry their own cry. Let these people cry their own cry.
Okay,
Ben, we want to talk about people. Let's talk about our
Ben, just hold on. We got a long distance. Just hold on. We got a long distance caller. I want to give the long distance person, and then I'll bring you back. Okay. Our long distance caller.
Hello.
Yes, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah. Yeah, this is Willem Bro. I'm calling from France.
Oh, bienvenue. Comment ça va?
Ça va très bien. Et vous, mon frère?
Dieu merci. Tu dis quoi, mon frère?
D'accord, merci beaucoup. Tu fais le bon travail. Je dis merci à tout le monde.
Merci.
Okay, let's back to the issue. Yeah, I want to say thanks to all of you there for the effort. I've been monitoring and try to get in. But I just want to make a few points clear here. The other lady, our mother there, let her not have the perception that if you support somebody and the person win, it means there is no democratic election that was here. No. In election, you can support people. Anytime you go into electoral process, expect two results. Either you lost or you win. It doesn't mean when you lost, it means that the process that went through was not democratic or people did fraud. No, if you have such a perception, then you are a dictator by nature. Now let's come to the second aspect. Somebody was talking about Joel turned Bon County over to the CDC. No. Immediately after the election in 2017, when we got inaugurated in 2018, we had a by-election. That by-election, she lost in Bond County. When she had the power there, she's supposed to win that seat. She lost, and we have retained his seat. Sir Joseph was elected. So in politics, that calculation is exact science. You look at the calculation. You don't say somebody was popular. Somebody won 14 counties out of 15, and you say because of Joel, if it was not for Joel, somebody was not going to win. It almost had Nima. Prince Johnson had Nima. But it's possible Joel could run by herself. We have run by herself, but in the runoff, she was going to come over. Let why the way Prince Johnson came over. And you were going to still win. So don't base the analysis. If she were very popular in Bond County, she's supposed to retain that seat. She's supposed to replace herself. Meaning anyone she put hand up, supposed to replace her. Let's come to the other area of somebody talking about COP. I know COP. I'm even happy that COP becoming the opposition blind them up, because COP, in politics, we have two forms of popularity. People can be popular either by doing good or by doing bad. But in politics, when you do bad in your popularity, you are notoriously popular. But when you do good, you are famously popular. In politics, we look at people who are famously popular to sell them to the electorates. So I love COP popularity. They are notoriously popular. So that when they even become opposition to us, we will beat them, and there will be no match. So I even like that for them to overshadow the current opposition. So the current opposition, if you look at them, they are limited. They allow that child. We get plenty things against the person who leading COP. You are not a pure Liberian. Your father coming from way South America. You were born in Liberia mistakenly. We can tell our people here and they don't vote you.
Come on now.
So we can even go that route. In politics, though, we may say on the radio that, oh, let us not be divisive, but in politics, when people come to shop, we preach divisiveness. Even in America currently with Trump, because this is our country, we must save it. We care less about how people will feel. But in politics, we preach divisive politics when push come to shop. So these things are normal things.
And what's your name again?
My name is William Broad, so I want to make those clarities. There are more other clarity, but let me give other people the chance. I think Sis Roselyn making a very sound point there, and I'm enjoying her. So let people don't confront popularity. We have two forms, notorious and famous. Thank you.
You're saying you're sedition, so it's obvious that you're going to go with Sis Roselyn, right? William?
Yeah, let me tell you, in my politics, even when Sis Roselyn was saying the wrong thing, I would tell her. Let's take, for example, somebody was talking about the VP. I'm not in favor of the VP being marginalized, for example. But in politics, you marginalize your deputy. If your deputy want to violate what we call, if we have the 48 law of power in political science, never you overshadow your boss. That's the first thing in law one. So if my deputy want to overshadow me, I can perform technique to subdue my deputy. Maybe that's why we are applying.
Thank you.
Because you cannot take risks with Joelle. She got a training from Taylor also. So you got to be vigilant with her to subdue her. So that she cannot overshadow you, and then we have some money set up, and we are not in power.
Thank you, William. Let me go to Letvie.
So thank you.
Let me go to Letvie to respond.
But Letvie just spoke. I haven't spoken.
Yeah, but what the caller said was, so I want Letvie to respond to that before you come in, Roselyn.
Well, like I said, when I was saying that, Roselyn, you spoke after me, after I said what I said. You did respond to what I said. But anyway, besides that, I don't go back and forth with people.
You just did.
I said what I said, that we have not had, even though we have had and we still have elections in Liberia, it has not been democratically or transparent. You have not had a transparent election that where you say this person actually won. So what it is that when you come down to the point, when you said, let's go with the latest one in 2017, December, or 2017, October, you saw all these ballots and all these things that were in the water. We saw them in the toilet. We saw them, but yet and still we were getting numbers. Where were we getting these numbers from when these people ballot? 2, 3, 4 boxes that were coming from the different counties were all destroyed. So, you know, but this is politics. And we said, so I'm not for a particular, I may be in opposition, but I am not for a particular, say, political party. I look at people's, what they bring to develop the nation. And that's why I said there has not been a transparent democratic election in Liberia as far as I have known myself as a Liberian. But we have limitations in comprehension. So I understand that. So I'm going to listen and I'm going to agree to disagree. Like I tell people, your glass may be half full and mine may be half empty, or yours half empty and mine half full. It is still at the half level. So you may not agree, but if you look at it and you research and you put things down and you write it out, you will see what I'm saying is true. But it's up to you with the limitations that you have. Like I said, I do not have a tunnel vision. I have a broad panoramic vision. So I look at things at all aspects. So I will not expect a sedition to come on this platform to say that they agree with my, analogy or analysis of what I'm bringing forth. I do not expect you because of the limitation. I deal with that every day. I deal with that in my writings. When people come in and they are limited to understand what I'm writing. So I'm not going to sit here and argue with a caller that says, oh, we are this and we, no, I'm not. And I'm not even going to, pay that. And in my mind, my main thing is, how can we educate our people in Liberia? And how can we educate our children, our grandparents, our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers in Liberia to think for themselves and not to be bored with rice or not to be bored with meats, and not to take their children to be sacrificed in times of elections. These are the things that we have to look at now in Liberia.
I just wanted to inject that you said you don't have a political party. From what I see, you identify with the ANC. Is that correct? Just as a form of...
Okay, Dennis John, I do not identify with anybody.
Okay.
Like I said, I do not have a political party now. I support, because of what he brings, his policies. I support Cummings.
Okay.
I support him, and I will always support him until somebody else come into the race that I see that is bringing something to Liberia. But at this time, he is the only viable person that I see that can take Liberia and take her to another level.
Thank you. Roselyn, I will come to you, but I promise Ben, Jonah, Ben, just end your thought. There was a caller from out of overseas, so I put you on a pause. So please continue. You have 40 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just speak about the COP. The COP is almost as bad as the government of Liberia, if not worse. And because they are so bad, and that's why people are leaving them, not even leaving, people are fleeing. People are leaving like flies. It's running away from poop. That's how bad the COP is. These guys have no accountability into their bloodstream, but at the same time, they want to also ask a corrupt government to be accountable. It doesn't make no sense. There is the leader who collected people money from here and went to Liberia and has not given any report. This young man was so brave. He collected money on behalf of the vice president and still no report. But yet still he comes out and then tells us how corrupt this weird government is. You see, these people talk on both sides of the mouth as if the Liberian people are some kind of as if we are fools. But we are not fools. We can see through them. The COP and the government of Liberia are in a cahoots. All I want to do is just to ride on the common people to get themselves over my riches. Thanks for having me. But
Thank you.
the last thing is that please do not talk about Joel her salary. Talk about our poor people's salary, not about
Okay.
rich people. We don't care about her. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. And this is what we do here. We bring all the hot topics and we get people talking because people want to talk about the things that they care about that affect not only our country, but also our people. Roselyn,
Yeah.
you agree with the caller, isn't it, about the COP?
The COP is a political party. The COP is part of ALP. The COP is part of the ANC. The COP is part of the UP. The COP is part of the LP. The COP is a political party. They are all collaborated, not because they selected a loud person among them to take the lead of causing disturbances in the country. Doesn't mean that he's not a political party. He is a political party. For what I understand, every participant within the COP is behind or a main political party, and they all merge. They have collaborated as a CPP. Maybe my sister Letvie need to read a lot more into that. And she always saying that, oh, I am not part of this, but she speak deeper, more in the situation more than the people that are even part of or whatever she's denying of. She's not part of a particular political party, but she support the ANC. But she speak like a strong advocate of the opposition. So how can she deny herself not to be a part of the political party? I find that another problem, it's a little bit problematic. Even though she says that, yeah, we don't comprehend, but she seems to be comprehending and leaving a whole lot of stuff behind that she pretend not to be identifying with, but she know the details of their discussion. And I want to state here clearly, COP is not a pressure group. COP is a political party. Because if you check the manager of COP, which is the Costa, the SKP, and his deputy, Mo Ali, is from United Party. The man that created the COP is from ALP. Why can you guys let me land when I'm talking? You're always interrupting. But when she's talking, you give her all of the time to land everything you want to speak about.
You don't want me to talk to you a little bit,
You're not being objective. You're not being objective. Give me the time. Let me land. If I shut up, then you'll talk. But you don't give her time to talk lengthily, and y'all will not interrupt her.
I will give you time, my sister. I want us to make a conversation on you. You
said
something
but
that caught my attention.
Y'all should do all that. I keep leaving things behind most of the time when you're interrupting me. Go ahead.
All right. I wanted to ask, you said the COP leader is an escapee. What did he run from? I don't know. You tell us. You see, I had a little gist for you. I know you're going to fall for it. So go ahead.
He's not an escapee.
Go ahead.
They say you who preach equity should come with clean hands. This man is on air every day, condemning the government, condemning government officials, how they operate. But he is the same person that goes and forge a document, and lie about his passport not being in his possession. But when he got the opportunity to escape through another country, all of a sudden his passport was with him, and he was caught at the airport checking in, and he ran away from answering questions. He's not an escapee. He is an escapee. So what I don't understand about the opposition, they always think that they got monopoly on,
Do you feel outsmarted about
they
this
got
guy
monopoly
you're talking
on
about?
issues of the government. Excuse me?
Do you feel outsmarted about this gentleman you're talking about?
Outsmarted?
Yeah.
No, I don't feel outsmarted. I just think he's not being fair to himself. He lies too much.
How could a guy just escape from the powerful hands of the government?
Because the government has been very lenient with him. It's not that the government is weak. The only reason why the government, because we don't want chaos. This government's focus is for peace. and reconciliation. They have tried so many times on numerous occasions to bring the opposition to work together with this government, and they refuse because they have said that they cannot help this government to join with them because they don't want to bring that expertise to make the president not to, that when they come on board to work with this government, their expertise will be given to this government, and the president will prolong his presidency. He will stay longer. And we have on the Constitution, on our Constitution, that he is allowed to go for 2 terms. But they find that difficult because it's George Weah that they cannot team up to work with him, even though they claim to be so educated and so smart. They got all of the knowledge when it comes to governance and stuff. But yet and still, we have a country for 174 years old, still look like a big village. But they have all of the expertise. The opposition got all of the expertise. When we don't have roads, we don't have community alleys not open.
Okay. Roselyn, can I ask you a question as you
Let
land?
me finish, Letvie.
No, I know, but let me ask you the question so we can land with the question that I'm asking.
No, I don't ask you when I rather ask you to cut me off, so you be quiet. Let me talk.
Whoa,
Yeah, she said it to me too. So I told you, I believe in. You don't want somebody to do something to you, don't do it to them.
She didn't say that to you.
She did.
No, she did.
She told me that. She told me that. You play a video and you listen to her telling me to be quiet. Let her finish. So now I'm talking. Let her be quiet. Let me land. All right. And it's not funny because you guys always think you got monopoly on governance. But look at the country. It had to take the person from New Town, from West Point, to come and make the country to be a place for people to admire. So much development is going on, but you don't see that. You only see the negativity that Henry Costa bring on air for you to listen to, and you run with it. And for you to even come and sit down here and say there had never been a democratically elected government in the nation, I also already find that you in denial of this government. Then were you talking about your panoramic views you have on governance? What panoramic view that you have so much that we cannot see, that you cannot put it on? If you're so panoramically intelligent that you can look at things on the panoramic side and judge it, but I think you're doing yourself injustice because you are not seeing the development that's going on with your panoramic view that's going on now as we speak, and you haven't spoken any of those.
Okay, so before you muted me, which was wrong, Anthony, but I understand that you were part of this before. So let me just go to it. Roselyn, and I'm not going to go to the level that you are because I'm not going to come into that dirt because, like I said, you all are from the mud, and this is what it is.
Oh yes.
When were you? No, when were you born? I just want to ask when you were born and how long you lived in Liberia. Were you in Liberia in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 70s, before 1980? That's why I want to ask you. Were you ever in Liberia at that time, or when you were born, your mom took you to Switzerland and you stayed there, or you found a husband in Switzerland? I want to ask you because you all are saying that Liberia was never a country of relevance until George Weah took over in 2018, January. That's what you were saying. But I lived in Liberia. So I want to know, and I saw what Liberia was, and I see what Liberia is now. So if you say that the war that we had, the 14-year war that we had, was the reason why we do not have the development that we need to have, you cannot go back to 1847 or 1824 and say, since that time, Liberia was not developed. Do you know Liberian history? Have you ever taken Liberian history? Do you know Liberia really? I'm asking this question so you can answer. That's why I wanted you. These are the questions that I wanted to ask you, so you can put it within your paragraph or your statement you are making. That's why I wanted to ask you. So when actually did you start living in Liberia, or you never lived in Liberia? Because I know you must be older than me, so you should have some kind of knowledge on what Liberia was in the 60s and in the 70s if you were born in the 50s. So you should know something. And if you're not older than me, I would say I'm surprised and I'm sorry for you.
You sound very childish right now. You sound very childish. You claim to be educated, but you're...
I'm not going to go with the cursing. So I just want to ask you that question, because the Liberia that I live in was a Liberia that the people used to say was a little New York. I don't know if anybody on this platform ever realized or lived in that Liberia before,
very childish,
where we had running water, where we had 24-hour electricity, where we had roads that you can come from Saniquale or from Yekepa to Monrovia in 2 hours, and you could come from Maryland to Monrovia without any problems. We had drainage systems in Liberia where we had of course we had tropical weather where we had the raining and the dry season, but we never flooded going towards when we were going to RIA. We had planes coming in. Which Liberia did you live in? That's, this is the thing that I don't understand when people talk. Which Liberia did you live in? Because that's the Liberia that I want again. The Liberia that we grew up in, where we had 24-hour electricity, where we had running water, hot and cold, where people were coming to our colleges, where people were coming to our hospitals. That's the Liberia that I want. I'm not talking about making driveways in Liberia and say, oh, that's the best development. I'm not talking about that. A one-level military hospital that's been on construction for 2 years. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, do you know Liberia really? Have you gone back and listened and seen your history? Have you read your history? When you want to come to talk to me on intellectual level, come with knowledge of your history of your country. Don't come and say, oh, when she was saying she told me to shut up. I will never tell you to shut up. I have too much respect for people on this panel for me to go and tell you to shut up. I respect you. You said to shut up, I will shut up. But I will come to you in an intellectual way to ask you if you know what you're talking about. Do you know who you are? Do you know what Liberians were in the world at that time? Do you know that? You coming here and sitting down because you're all love. He was a star. I never knew him. He played soccer, yes. Oh, he this and he that. But Joshua is not doing justice to Liberia. Let's see that. Talk about it. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did not do justice to Liberia. Charles Taylor did not do justice to Liberia. Neither did Samuel K. Doe. They said he was doing what he would do until he was killed. But they did not do justice to Liberia. I'm not here to pick on a person or a government. I'm looking at what I grew up in. What did I grow up? I grew up into a country that was proud to be in Africa, a country that all the West African nations look up to. That's the country that I'm talking about. I don't come here and talk with low lives and mudslinging things to mudsling at me. I don't care. You can talk whatever you want to talk, but let's talk history of the country you want to talk about. Joshua have not done anything for Liberia. Be honest with that.
Thank you, Levin. Thank you. Roselyn, you can respond.
Yes. But you muted me. You keep muting me. Try to unmute me now.
and Roselyn, before you come on, I will give you time. I'll be brief. Says Levy, sometimes we mute our panelists just to post things under control. It is not any disrespect to you. We do that all the time because the people that are watching, when they see the panels there cross talking, they can't like it. I say I don't like it, so I don't mean any disrespect to you. I just muted her several times when you were talking, just to keep things under control.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Roselyn.
Okay. So The lady, the lady is talking about my age. You're getting personal. I'm older than you. I didn't born you. You're old at Matusula. I didn't born you. First of all, let me clarify that. And I don't owe you no explanation for my age. My family know my age. My parents know my age. My friends I went to school with together know who I am. They know my age. And I'm not here to answer you about my age. That's not what the debate is about. Speak about what we're here discussing. We're discussing politics and we're talking about our country. If you if you think you know Liberia more than me, you better think again. When they used to call Liberia small America, they were talking about Monrovia, the capital city. Before the war, Liberia, we all had, even the zinc shacks had electricity. So if you know that Liberia, I know that Liberia as well. If we're talking about running water, we had running water. Even the zinc shacks had running water if they install it. If not, they go to the wells and get water. And we don't have paved roads. The interstate highway or the county major counties, all of the counties, the only county that experience asphalt roads is Cape Mount, all the way in Bon County. So you know Liberia, maybe you only know Monrovia. And I also know Monrovia because I grew up there. All right. And I know the airport when Liberia had all international airports coming to Liberia, down to Swiss Air, British Airways, probably Lufthansa, Air France, and all of those international airports, used to come to Delta, I mean Pan Am, sorry. Pan Am were flying to Liberia at Robert International Airport. So I know Monrovia like you know Monrovia. If you even do know quarter of it like I do. So you don't come here and tell me about you know Liberia. I'm a born Liberian and I know my country. I went to school there. I played basketball on the same sports commission you claim to have gone and watched football. I mean basketball. I played with the Catchers and I played for Ricks Institute High School basketball. Let me tell you it now, Miss Letvie. You think you know everything more than everybody. We had Liberia running. Monrovia was running as Liberia. Maybe that's the one you're referring to. When there was any new music made or new movie made in the United States, we were one of the first people to have it the next day. So I know about that. So I don't know how well you know Liberia, but I don't think you know Liberia compared to the way I know Liberia. All right? It was your people that brought this same war 1990 and took everybody out of Liberia running for their lives. So what are you talking about that you know Liberia so much more than other Liberians? You always want to put other people down because you feel you're living in America and that's the best place to be living and be talking down on people. The guy King was talking about, the guy what Manny Williams abroad was speaking facts. And you try to talk down on him about comprehension, that you the only person can comprehend. And then that's what I'm saying. You know all of the book. All this time you guys been talking about since George Weah came to power, we've been hearing about you guys condemning that he's not doing anything in the country. But you never had the things that he had done in this country. You never had it before. The government that you praise, you give praise to when you were living there, and you grew up there, that had lights and water and everything running. You never had military hospital. Did you? And you talking about a one level or one floor government hospital. You haven't seen a hospital to be one floor before. That's a limitation you have right there because you never even had it in the first place. And if you had built a hospital in 1 year time, you are going to be the same people to come and condemn. Oh, how can you build a military hospital in 1 year time? Now it takes logistics to build a hospital of that size that have 100 bedrooms, 100 rooms, sleeping rooms for patients, 100. And guess what? You're living in the tropics. When you put a concrete down, you needed to sit on the ground solid with the foundation for it to sit down. So we need a rain to beat on the cement to have a solid wall. All of that you have to take all of that into consideration. Okay, I don't even know if you built a house before for you to know the level in which that is supposed to have the military hospital to be built and the level in which it is built that it's not satisfactory to you. So you guys always condemning and what have you. But you fail to realize that the thing that this government is doing had never been done before. Never been done before. And it's a fact.
Thank you,
So right
Roselyn. They're playing hardball again, folks, in cyberspace. This is the only network you will see bringing the women together to talk the politics. And if you always want to see the ladies talking, come to Focus on Liberia. That's how we do it. You know, we don't play the man game yet. We let our sisters to talk because they born us before we call ourselves men. Mr. Ja.
Yes, let me get a color and color. We have just 1 minute each. Color, your name and where you're calling from, and we have just 2 last calls, and that will be it for the callers. Caller, your name.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. My name is Liberia Williams, and I'm calling from the state of Georgia. So I want to first of all appreciate you for the hard work, the management of FOL.
Thank you.
Anyway, I would love to be brief to touch on 1 or 2 issues, if you'll let me.
Go ahead.
So I have listened to our 2 sisters. I have listened to our 2 sisters in the studio. But this is the issue that I feel, that are contributing to the happiness of our country. So Liberia administrative offices, our governing leadership, they are lacking so much integrity. So one issue I would love to discuss has to do with the coastal issue. If you listen to the information that the press released from the immigration head of state, so much discrepancy and lack of integrity in such an office. When people can come and say, Costa, first of all, he spoke that they realized, they didn't notice that Costa documentation was first, and it stayed and left it in the country to move freely. That is misleading information. We lack integrity in our governing process, and this is why the country is struggling. Okay. The Stage Roselyn, I appreciate her conversation. However, there are a lot of discrepancy in conversation. She said that opposition has not made an effort to contributing to the development of the country with ideas. The current presidential aspirant, Arizona Cummings, have contributed to the economic crisis that the country is undergoing currently. Well, citizens, the current ruling party says they don't want his recommendation. He should go and face Coca-Cola bottle. So all of these things happening in the country. You see, with the issue of George Taylor, why in this war have you seen that someone scaring their country or in any area of administration or any job for that matter? And they are not being paid, and they are being disrespected, most especially to the highest level of the presidency. So we have to attack these issues with honesty, with respect to our integrity for the development and betterment of the people of the country.
Thank you, sir.
We are not doing ourselves any good. So thanks for having me. We have to look at the issue very patriotically and put our party feelings and political differences aside and discuss realistically the happiness of our country. Just we are taking leadership. In less than 2 years, he has developed himself than he has in his entire football career. And let the people speak the fact. And that's the issue we are discussing. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. William. Let's take our last caller, very last caller. Caller, your name and where you're calling from.
Brother Dennis, this is Wilton Keller from the Shawaka Show.
Mr. Keller, welcome to Focus on Liberia. You have 1 minute.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I would just like to educate my sister, Letvie. Sometimes when you talk, when you say we're educated, we should not be the one to look down other people.
Wilton.
Always say people from
Wilton.
I'm not just because yes.
Yeah, don't use that to say educate my sister Letvie. Please make your point without.
That's brother Dennis. You see, then you guys not doing justice, and you just cut me off because she said something that demoralized us as Liberians. We are people from the mud. Let me be honest here with you, brother. Let me be very honest here with you. That one thing I will not take from any Liberian. I will not take one thing from anything from Liberian to insult another Liberian. That's not fair.
I understand.
That's not fair.
Just go ahead and make your point without
and you
saying.
never corrected her. You never. Okay, let me make my point.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We know that our election was free and fair. We know that our election was free and fair. We saw it. The international community recognized it for the first time in 70-some years. Liberia had a very peaceful election, a very good turnover. Back to the illusion of Liberia was a better place in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 70s, in the 80s. I say no. Our focus was on Monrovia, or was in Monrovia. Not even in Montserrat County. It was in Monrovia. My brother, God bless me. I spent all my years from birth to 30 years old in Monrovia. And I taught myself, thinking like how our sister Letvie taught, that Liberia was the bomb until I drove from Monrovia to Ivory Coast. And I saw the bordering town. And I condemned my country and condemned all of our former presidents that ever sat in power and allow the resources to leave our country. We're all developing our country. When she talk about roads, you ever drove from Lokatuo to Saniquale to see the road? You saw Kota there? He said Maryland. You ever drove from Maryland to come to Monrovia? You see Kota there? Look, let's be very frank here. Not because today, and she said, the mud, people making pathway. Yeah, somebody got to come from the mud to put Kota on the mud, so the fellow citizens that live in the mud can have at least means to travel freely. We're all getting dirty. And it took a boy that came from the mud, that she said, that came from the ghetto or the dungeon to be able to raise the fellow Liberian out of mud. It took a man who understands that people are not supposed to live in that kind of condition in Nugu Town, in West Point, in Door community, in Swamp community, to build roads that she called driveway. So unfortunate, because her life when she was in Liberia, she was probably on the first class level, as we say in Liberia, probably up there. So she never saw the people that live in Door community. She never saw the people that live in West Point. She never saw the people that live in Nugu Town. She never saw the people that live in Nima County going to look at Era or Grand Gita or Maryland. Look, this Letvie, you guys have to face reality. Our lives in Liberia were never better before then. You people's life were better in Liberia. Let me tell you something. I'm a Keta. Anybody who knows Keta around us will tell you. I never suffered, my family never suffered in Liberia. And we thought we were all that until we left and went Ivory Coast. God blessed me to work in Ivory Coast 7 years all over Ivory Coast, from village to town to city. And when I saw Ivory Coast development, I cried for my own country. And you can sit on this platform and tell the world that our country was better before than now. No, our country will never, and never you or down us by insulting people and say they're from the mud. Nobody from the mud. People just unfortunate at a specific time and in their life, but nobody from the mud. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keda. Asoni.
Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Asoni, and thank you, Mr. Jara, for correcting that. Let's close, ladies, shall we? Let us close. Roselyn?
Yes, sir.
I know you're taking your note. I like that. I need to borrow that from you. Always taking note so that you can be on point. So we've been here going to 2 hours now. We have to close, and I will ask for your closing comment.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say thank you to the both of you, and Sonny and Dennis, for the show and for bringing me on again to debate the issues that are facing our country. And you guys can trust me. I'm not going to sit here for people to come and bring those olden time story. Oh, our country used to be like New York or small America. We all heard that. Because you don't know me doesn't mean that I don't know about those, about those saying. So I'm here to discuss the issues and not to go petty on personal, about my fellow debater. That's not what the issues are. So maybe you guys, some of you need to learn when you come on debate, you don't get inside attacking people. What are they old? What are they young? You didn't born me. You can tell me how old I am. I only person can tell you how old I am,
You made
whether
that
you
point
like it or
already.
not.
Let's just
Excuse
conclude.
me?
I said you made that point already. Let's
Yeah, so I want
talk.
to thank you for the show, and let's keep up the focus on the developmental agenda on this about this government. If you're in denial, too bad. I'm sorry for you. I cannot help you. That's you. But our country is going to be developed by this government as they promised us, and we are not going to sit here and cry because the opposition say we're not doing anything. We're going to continue to be focused. This government is going to continue to be focused. For what I can see, they are focused. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Roselyn, we want to say thank you for joining us all the way from Switzerland. And those of you who are watching, she joined us from Switzerland. It's about maybe 4 a.m. her time or 3 a.m. her time. And she decided
It's
to
5
join
to
us.
4. 5 to
Okay.
4.
Yeah, 4 a.m. her time. And she decided to join us because she cares about our country. You may disagree with her politics. I may disagree with her politics. But hey, we are here to talk about our country. We see that here in America. Republicans and Democrats disagree. They call themselves names all over the place. But we want the truth and nothing but the truth. And if somebody is saying something that is not the truth, those who know the truth will know that person is not telling the truth. So what we do here is give people the opportunity to speak. And that's what we are doing. And don't see us the way you think we are. We'll now come to our sister, Letvie, for her concluding statement. My sister.
Thank you so much for having me on today. And I thank all the panelists that was on, even Leo that left. Most people may think that I live in Monrovia. I came to Monrovia only to visit. I never lived in Monrovia City. And so I was not in Monrovia, but I did live in Bond County and I lived in Nima County. So I did go also to Maryland. So these are things that I never lived in Monrovia. And when I talk about these places were developed when I was there. Okay, so I'm not gonna go back and forth. And when I spoke about mud, I spoke about how people talk and how people come across and say things like I was being attacked, and that's muddy kind of attack, but I do not go there. So if they felt that I was calling them a mud, but first of all, if you look at it, God made us from the mud. So we all are going back to the mud. We all are dirt. He spit and we became living beings. He spit on the dirt, made it mud, and we became a living being. So we are all muds. But when you go back into it to have discussion, intellectual discussions is where we have to be able to come and say things that we have to say to bring us back to the level that we are. But I thank you all so much. And I know the Liberia that I was raised in. I don't know the Liberia that they were raised in, but I know the Liberia that I was raised in. The Liberia that I was raised in, not Monrovia, but the Liberia that I was raised in was that a land of green, a land of, it's just so much richness in that country. So when I lived there, we had the richness in the country. And the war that was brought to Liberia did us harm, and it really had damaged our country. And that's why we're looking at leaders that will come and bring us back where that we can overturn what we have to be able to bring that country back to the light that it was. And so when we were in Liberia, when I was in Liberia, we did, provide light to even the Ivory Coast that they're talking about now. We were providing them electricity at that time when I was growing up in Liberia, not Monrovia, but Liberia. So when people talk, when they don't know, you go and research. That's why I said, research your country, know the richness of where you come from, know the richness of where you come from, who you are. What are we? You know, they used to call us proud Liberians. When are we going to get back to be proud Liberians? When are we going to educate our people? We have so many, our universities have brought out so many doctors, lawyers, agriculturalists. We had so many, PhD holders were first mostly in Liberia before they started going to Nigeria and Ghana. These were the education. We had our LU. You talk about building a hospital when they built even JFK, when we had ELWA hospital, we had Catholic hospital. Those hospitals, when they were built in Liberia by Liberians. These are the things that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the pettiness that we have now, but I can say this, and I can ask you guys to go on. Is Liberia sustainable in the way we are going? I understand Liberia will not be sustainable. I have talked with seditionists. I have a lot of sedition friends that are close to me that we discuss and we talk, and they tell me, they say, Letvie, is Liberia sustainable? Do we have a sustainable country right now? This is what I'm looking at. I don't go and say, oh, I'm talking about this one person or that one person, but we all are here because the love of our country that we have. That's why we come on these platforms to say how to promote and how can we do much better for our country. What can we do to help to bring Liberia where it is today? My concern is tomorrow when the coronavirus is in Liberia, will we be able to survive that? That's my concern right now. So, but this is what it is. And I thank you all so much for having me. And Anthony, even though it was a short notice, but I got what I could get. And people were saying, why you didn't tell me that you were going to be on Focus on Liberia? And I said, because it was a short notice. But anyway, I thank you. Dennis, I know you are behind this, and I thank you for having me.
And for the record, Dennis asked me to go after you.
And Dennis, I know, that's why I said he was behind this.
We are happy we are happy that on a very short notice, you are able to honor our invitation.
Yes.
We thank you for coming.
I was on a short notice too.
Yeah, thank you, Roselyn. And I said thank you, Elio. And thank you, Letvie, for coming on a very short notice. You're here for your country. We appreciate that. And we are all here for our country. This is what we do here at Focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. Mr. Jeff.
And this is the beginning of our Saturday show. And we want you ladies to come back, keep coming back. Bring all your friends. Let's discuss. There was a time when the war was coming. I think it was Chichipo who was advising, said, President Doe, sit down with Taylor. Let's talk. And President Doe thought that was a bad idea. And everybody thought that was a bad idea. And see what we got. So talking is good. One my formula said, my mouth is not gone. So it's better for us to talk and even yell at each other if we have to because of the passion and the way we want our country to be. We all have the passion. We all want the best for Liberia. Is that because of politics? So we go about differently and because we are different people. So we don't expect to think about it and go in the same direction. But no matter which direction we take, we know that you ladies are beautiful, both in and out. And we are confident that you want the best for Liberia. And that's why you are here. And that's why you keep talking. And that's why you keep doing what you do. We appreciate that so much. And we can be more proud of you all.
And one thing we should always remember, Dennis, in politics, there are no permanent
give Roselyn chance to talk.
If there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies. We only have permanent interests, and our only interest is Liberia. And we should remember that. When we remember that, we'll go a long way.
Roselyn, you have that same minute to you have that same.
I think what she just said goes right back to her. Remember that Liberia.
You coming fight at the end again?
No, we're not fighting. We're speaking.
We're ending on this positive note.
No, but what she's saying, she giving the advice that she is contradicting herself because the president called for everybody to be on board. She claimed to be very educated, and I think the president need her. Government need people like her.
Let's move the peace pipe now.
The government need people like Letvie to come down, give your expertise, man. Instead of saying and condemning.
Josh Weah is my brother, Roselyn. You just don't know
if
it.
he's your brother, then why you want to talk down on him now?
It doesn't matter. If he's my brother, I tell him he's doing wrong. That's why I'm not.
But he's my brother too, and I'm been speaking what you guys have been trying to dog.
All right.
Ladies,
we are running our closing.
Nice meeting you.
And if you are out there and you think that we are not handling the debate right or the discussion correctly, or you think we are for this side and that side, you just try it moderating two brilliant ladies, and you see what the kind of fire we're in right now.
All right, and so folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and this is how we close. We want to thank you for being with us for almost 3 hours now. We appreciate you, Roselyn. We appreciate you, Letvie, for honoring our invitation on very short notice. And I think the people that listen to you all should be proud of you for taking our phone calls. Some of the men run away, and you, the ladies, are here, and we appreciate you. We will now leave you with this song. After the fight, let us unite for Liberia.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.